Did you hit it? Son of a bitch. He's acting like he's frozen. What an asshole.
Let me think. Like, old Barry's movie we're recording.
Oh, okay. It's been so long since we recorded. Derek didn't know what to do when he hit this.
Hysterical women.
I actually seen a couple of those in some old movies I watched this week, but we'll talk about that later. What's up, everybody? This is the Borderline Hostility podcast. I'm your host, Barry. With me, as always, my man D and my man Will.
Oh,
my man.
Look, Kent, titties.
It's been so long, my ears. I'm not used to it. We haven't recorded in a bit. We have between the last recording we had Super Bowl, and then we had Valentine's Day. So got some recordings done kind of before that, and had them ready for you guys. But back at it today, and we are, if you can't see Derek's background, we're going to talk about the Genesis today, do our top 5 Sega Genesis games. But before we get into our topic, since it's been a bit, let's cover some news, and let's also cover our is it called What You Doing? I think I've changed the name of it like 15 times since
What you doing?
What you doing?
We need like a sound bit to
we
a little thing flash on screen. So what you doing bit?
Well, do you Oscar? What?
I could contract Oscar to do that if you guys want me to.
Sure.
The bitch sucker of the week kid.
Just make sure he doesn't put too many hours, because he's a minor and we can't have minors working over like 30 hours, something like that, I think.
Here's the thing.
Make sure it's right. I mean, so if you have to keep him in there for like 29 and a half hours in that studio, make sure.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the thing. We're pro child labor in our family.
So D, what you been doing?
I need to look real quick. Oh yeah. Still going through some old back catalog of games. I can't remember. I think I'd mentioned Gunpoint last time, but I went through Gunpoint, which I think Will would like, even though it's like, looks like I put 5 hours into it. It's not a long game, so you want to get it cheap. But the most recent one that I played through is called Valdis Story, Abyssal City, and it's like a side scroller kind of RPG thing. And I've always loved the side scrollers, and it's a good game. It's a little bit older, probably not as old as Will's games, but it's a bit older, like 2013 or something like that. And it's a cool game, but the thing that sucks is there's like there's 4 main cities, and like you travel back and you do lots of backtracking and stuff, and you travel back and forth between the cities, and that's where like you have people that will upgrade certain things. Like each city has people that upgrade certain things, and it doesn't tell you, but if you don't do like certain events, then like the whole city gets wiped out, or like they'll all abandon the city and you like lose them for fucking ever. And so that kind of sucks. And when you first play it, you have 2 character options you can play as, and then once you beat it, it opens up I think 2 more. And so I went back and I was like, I'm going to replay with this other character, and then like I forgot to do something, and then like a whole city gets wiped out that had like an NPC that was going to upgrade some of my core gear. So I was like, fuck this, and I quit playing. So it kind of sucks in that respect, but it is a good game overall. Oh, and I started watching Lovecraft Country, which it's pretty good, but it's weird because the first 2 episodes are like a horror movie. I'm trying to remember exactly what happens, and then the 3rd episode, I can't remember what that was like. And the 4th episode's like Indiana Jones. So it kind of bounces around. Have you watched it, Barry?
I had it on the list. It's on the queue.
It's pretty good. And then I'm on the episode. I think it's episode 6 right now with Jamie Chung, and dear God, she's fucking a beautiful actress.
Jamie Chung. I don't know Jamie Chung. I'll have to check her out.
Did you watch any more of The Passage, Derek?
Oh yeah. I finished The Passage.
Did you like it?
Shit, I had to remember for a second what it was about. Yeah, it was good. It sucks that they only got the 1 season. I feel like it could have.
But isn't it fucking crazy what that show's about? And like, just. Have you watched it, Barry?
I'm y'all talking about it.
Yeah, man, it's fucking like it's. it's a vampire show, but it's not like it's not like a Hammer Dracula or Twilight Dracula or anything like that. But it's they treat the Dracula, they treat vampires like it's a they're almost like zombies, and they're telepathic, and it spreads like a pandemic.
Hmm.
And it's wild because it actually came from a bat, like the alleged Wuhan virus. I mean, it's pretty fucking crazy. And you think that whoever the writers wrote it in 2019, but it's based on a book that was written in 2015, and I think they wrote the television show, the teleplay, back in 2017. So I mean, it's fucking crazy, and it's so depressing because Mark Paul Gosselaar that could have been like his Breaking Bad. I mean, because he was really good in the show. He was completely believable as the father, like father figure to the character. It just sucks.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
What channel was it on? Was it on Fox?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that explains it. Fox just like buries all their good shows, and then they're like horrible sitcoms will go on forever.
Yeah.
Chokes them out. Will, what you been doing?
I read a couple books. I reread a book about Alan Berg. He was a radio DJ. Got murdered back in 1984, and it's wild because two other since our last show, and they'll be both mentioned in the news segment. We lost Rush Limbaugh and we lost Larry Flint, and there's connections to Alan Berg in both of them. Besides the movie, the Larry Flint movie, there's a movie called Talk Radio. It's kind of based on the murder of Alan Berg. Oliver Stone directed that movie, and Oliver Stone also produced Larry Flint, which is pretty crazy. And Rush Limbaugh was becoming a DJ back around the same time that happened. And when Alan Berg got murdered by a bunch of neo Nazis, Rush Limbaugh, that's when he started investing in security and having bodyguards. Because he knew it's weird. He arrogantly thought he was going to be as big as he was, and he called the shot. But he's dead now, so it's the world's better off. Fuck him.
Well, what's crazy is I know you didn't really want us to mention this, Will, but we were supposed to record that day that Rush Limbaugh died, and Will was just beside himself the whole day,
Just sobbing uncontrollably. Couldn't stop.
Yeah, crying, and we kept trying to record, and he just would. He'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Will's like, "Oh, I've been Rush Limbaugh died."
When I finally got words out of him, he was just finally like, "I'm so happy," and then I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes so much sense."
Like, I've been masturbating with my tears.
For Lou.
Oh yeah, that's something else that happened. Did you guys know that guys can get yeast infections?
Oh yeah. What the hell is this about?
All right. A couple weeks ago, it was shortly. Well, I mean, when we recorded the Valentine's Day episode, I was dealing with this. I hopped in the shower one night and I was washing myself, and the water hit my wiener, and it lit me the fuck up. It was the weird. I mean, it was uncomfortable. I don't know what the hell happened, and and I was like, okay, like everything else in my life, I tried to tough through it because I didn't want to go to a doctor. I mean, who wants to go to a doctor? And and all doctor's gonna tell me is shit I already know that I'm trying to take care of. Like, hey, you need to lose weight. Well, asshole, I've been eating broccoli for the past fucking month and a half and been on the bike, that kind of thing.
And you should probably wipe after you poop. All right, I'll get there someday.
Look, baby steps, dude. Well, anyway, so I mean, and I couldn't fucking. I mean, I was thinking the worst thing, of course, it didn't help that I kept going to Google, and then I was like, okay, I finally broke down a couple Fridays ago, and I'm like, I gotta go do something because it was driving me fucking crazy. Nothing I was doing was working. Okay, and then I go there and I explain them, and I take a piss test because I thought it was something that was messing around like my bladder or anything like that. And I did have a kidney, there was a kidney issue, but it was unrelated to the thing. And embarrassingly, I had to show my penis to a poor nurse a nurse practitioner.
I mean, did she
like,
ask to see it, or did you just show it to her?
I was just in the parking lot, and like,
Yeah, okay. Like at the
no,
store?
no, no. She has to see it, and she's looking at it, and it's embarrassing because like like so. Then she goes, "Oh yeah, okay," and then she said some fucking like she goes, "Looks like you have a taste of a touch of Valdis." There's a taste test. Anyway, no, something called Valentis, and I'm like, "What the fuck's that?" And she started explaining the thing, and I'm like, "Okay." And she wrote me out a prescription. I went to the pharmacy, and I gave them the shit, like the scripts, and like it was an antibiotic, and like and it was some kind of cream, and they made me wait for like a half hour. Then I come in. It turns out neither one of those medicines were covered by my insurance, and the pharmacist was nice enough to go, "Hey, look, man, here's what you got. Here's what you need to cure it." And he goes over and he gets he doesn't get like the good shit. He gets the generic version of the Jockets cream. He goes, "It's the same stuff." And I'm like, "What do you mean it's the same stuff?" And he showed me like how he would have made the thing. Like he goes, "Yeah, look, all active ingredients are the same. It's everything." I'm like, "Why didn't you just tell me to get that?" And he goes, and he goes, "Well, that's just that's how it works." I'm like, "Well, shit." So I didn't do that. But then like I was upset that like the antibiotic that I kind of needed. I ended up paying for it, but that was the first of my money woes during the blizzard of 2021. So I got it, and then like everything's cleared up, and I feel fine now. But it's weird that like I wish that like like I don't know. I wish there's a way that like we wouldn't the dudes could like deal with that without feeling humiliated. Because like like you try to explain it to somebody, their first thing is like, "What the hell did you fuck?" Like or like but like it's legitimate. Like I there's several ways it could have happened. Like I could have like like I could have got irritated by a soap, or like I could have like just like not shower immediately after I got off the exercise bike and that kind of stuff. But it was just embarrassing and humiliating. I'm fine now.
Well, didn't you tell me that you use liquid soap in the shower and that you like you hold your pee hole up and spread it open and just like get that liquid down in it and kind of swish it around inside there?
Well, that's when you stroke it. You get all lathered up inside.
Will's always been like, gotta clean the inside just like the outside.
Yeah.
Well, look, first of all, I use.
No, you cut out.
Fuck.
What'd you say?
Are
you there? Man. Hey, well, somebody called. Well, I kicked him off like always.
Yeah, the talent.
What about now?
There you are.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, one time I used a Q-tip and I got stuck in there, and I was just gonna wait for it to come out, but I got a little too excited, and when I was masturbating, it shot across the room and stuck into the wall.
That's not a real story.
It was like for Will, it was like American Pie, but like before making the pie, it was just the dough. Fucking the dough.
Pie crusher wrapped around his wiener.
Crust itself.
Hey, this whole show's just going to be about Will's wiener.
The wiener show.
Oh,
well, our topic today is Will's wiener.
That's fine. I got stories, guys. I could go deep with the wiener.
Well played, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Also, you want to hear about my good luck during the storm, how it continued? I felt somewhat good about 3 days ago. And things I woke up and I felt good about life, even though it was miserably cold. I got home yesterday morning. I keep the temperature's about 72 degrees in my house because I got George, and got to keep I got home and it was in the mid 50s yesterday morning, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. What happened? And then and then I'm like, it got cold as shit. But then I called the heating people, and they're like, okay, well, it's probably just overworked because it's cold. Wait about an hour or two, and if it's not gone up, call us. So I waited about an hour or two, and it was right at 50 degrees. I'm like, well, I got a call, and $410 later, and 3 hours later, I had heat, which is great because that's exactly what I needed. About $650 worth of bill money that I didn't have going out the door this month, which I'm happy I got sick and my insurance didn't cover it, and then my heating unit decided to quit on the coldest fucking day of the year.
What was wrong with it? Do you have any clue? They tell you?
He said that there was a thermocoupler. I think that's what he said.
Huh.
I don't know. He showed the thing is the part he took out. And he showed me a new one. He showed me what the old one was. He goes, yeah. He goes, they go bad. And I'm like, well, fuck. But
hit me and Barry up if you ever have any like household issues, because we can find people to help you. Because if you call those people in the phone book, they're going to charge you an insane amount.
Well, I was desperate for heat. I was ready to start doling out blowjobs to get things done.
We could have had a nice cuddle session podcast. We could have came up there and visited him and just kind of like.
But if we do that all the time, it's not special.
That's
Yeah. Did you show the HVAC guy your penis?
Yeah, it was kind of awkward though.
You're like, what should I do about this? And he gave us a diagnosis.
No, it was weird shit. He goes, aha, man, I think it's like a test of strength challenge in professional wrestling. He took out his wiener and we started sword fighting.
Nice.
But
Who won?
That was a draw.
That's why you had to pay that high bill.
Yeah. It was double or nothing, and he lost. And it was best out of 3, and he lost. And
yeah, so peckers and heaters. The
Good old Peters.
No, I start like when we last talked, we were talking about slasher movies. Like when we talked about My Bloody Valentine, and we were talking about other slasher movies.
I feel like that's every episode. But go on.
Well, no, it's all right. Well, the thing is, I love slasher movies, and you all seem to have enjoyed them last time too.
Yeah.
But I started thinking about it, that like there's a lot of there's a lot of great movies that turn 40 this year. And there's a lot of great video games that turned 20 this year as well. Like, does it feel like Grand Theft Auto 3 was 20 years ago?
it's wild. I mean, that's around the time we met. So it's been 20 years since we met.
Yeah.
So yeah, GTA 3. I mean, Halo was around this couple year time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cruel how time is, because it doesn't feel like 20 years.
No, it does not. It is crazy. And then this, of course, is the 35th anniversary of Zelda this year too. 35th anniversary for Mario last year. I think Metroid this year as well.
Gradius, Space Harrier.
Stupid. It's stupid. How old we are and how fast it goes.
Oh yeah. Well, it's. I guess that's one of those things where I think that's because I was thinking about nostalgia the other day, and just like how it's weird that because with this Barry too, because you and I are nostalgic for periods where we didn't live.
Yeah.
I remember one of our first conversations. We were talking about Hammer horror movies for hours.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, we were talking about Universal horror movies, and and those were like 20 and 50 years before we were born.
I feel like Pleasantville is like Barry's just orgasm movie. It's like, God, I wish I could do that. Go back to those.
Well, since we're talking about old school, I'm gonna jump on my What You Doing real fast, because I watched the Sliv movies.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, well, we will care about this, Dave. We did do a double feature of Happy Death Day,
Oh, nice.
which was great. The kids loved them. We
Yeah,
loved it.
they're good, aren't they?
Yeah, the second one is interesting because I was like, what are they doing with this? I thought they were using the other guy. And
Yeah.
it's turned into it's a group. It's hard to describe, but yeah, those are great movies.
I bought Freaky.
Oh, you did? That's probably next on my list to watch. I've been wanting to do that one as well.
It's on top of the stack, and I believe I owe you an apology for something, Barry.
Oh,
And it didn't hit me until I looked at Freaky. Vince Vaughn's in it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I think I borrowed Maid off of you like 20 years ago.
Do you have my copy?
I don't. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know if I ever gave it back to you. Where, like, it's one of those things. Did I ever give it back to you?
Dude, I don't know. I have no clue.
Man, because
For like 10 years. I don't know.
man, I'm gonna buy you another copy because I don't think I ever got. I was like thinking it was the weirdest shit, man. Because I just have there's a stack of DVDs at the top of my stairs, and whenever I get new shit, I just add onto the stack. And I just happened to look at it. I looked at Vince Vaughn. He was looking back at me, and I'm like, huh. Oh shit! I don't think I ever gave Barry Maid back because I think it's Swingers and Maid on it.
Yeah, it's a double feature.
And I don't remember. I remember you let me borrow it, but I don't know if I ever gave it back.
It's so funny.
I'm sorry.
All I know is Chris still has my copy of Screamers, which is like impossible to find now.
Screamers.
That back someday. Yeah,
The Pierre Weller movie.
yeah. Which is one of my favorite like sci-fi horror movies.
Oh, is that on DVD?
I think it was, but you can't find it now, and it's like a bloody fortune. Last time I looked.
Oh, I remember watching that movie when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because it was exciting because like I finally, I don't know, it was one of those things where like RoboCop made Pierre Weller big,
Yeah.
and it was exciting to see him in movies. And then like that was, I think that's a Philip K. Dick story. That Screamers,
Yep.
Yeah. So, and Peter Weller's like, I don't know. It was just cool to see him in another science fiction movie that wasn't RoboCop.
Yeah, it's not in like a robot outfit. And what's crazy is he, I don't know about today, but in recent years past, like he was just like a history teacher at a college. It's like, fuck,
Yeah,
man, I'd love to be in his class.
Yeah, he was teaching ancient Rome, and he taught ancient Rome and he taught Egypt at Syracuse.
I'm sure he would get mad though if like whenever he took a pause and like his talking, be like, "Hey, what about RoboCop? Tell us about RoboCop. How does RoboCop apply to like the ancient Romans?"
My 12-year-old mind went to Screamers, Philip K. Dick, and Peter Weller. That's where my mind's been for the last minute.
And then we
not
all come back to Will's penis.
Yeah, it's not a porno. That's coincidence. It's crazy. But I'll wrap up my little part here, and then we'll jump into some news. But I've been watching. I watched all the Kingsmen, the original. I made the kids watch Hit the Ice. I think it was on my top 5 underrated or underappreciated movies list. The Abbott and Costello movie. I made the kids watch that one night after dinner, and then speaking on my old man inside of me, I watched the Glenn Miller story with your boy Jimmy Stewart, D.
Heck yeah.
I knew Glenn Miller. And if you hear the big band music, I mean, if you don't know big band, you still know Glenn Miller. Like he was
dun 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 dun
I mean,
da 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 da.
the biggest orchestra at the time, band leader. And I'm watching the movie, and it's setting up like he's gonna die in a plane crash. I'm like, does he die in a plane crash? And sure enough, it's like usually you watch a biopic and you kind of know what's gonna happen. But I'm watching this going like, oh shit. Like his plane goes down and they never find him. Like that's fucking crazy. I didn't know that. So it got me on the rabbit hole online of like who else mysteriously vanished, back in the day, But
I think him and John Denver or somewhere like.
Maybe his whole man. I think they found John Denver.
Did they? Did they, Barry?
Maybe part.
So gullible, Barry.
Did you like all the Kingsmen?
Yeah, all the Kingsmen. I forget who the lead is on it, but man, he's great, and like I like it. It just kind of, I don't know. There's parts of it I'm just like, it's okay. But the lead on it is just, Broderick Crawford is just he's awesome.
Yeah, there's another dude in that movie that's really good too. John Ireland.
That plays Jack.
Yeah. Interesting connections in that movie. Like, this is Will's Red Room, Red Stream segment.
Yeah.
That guy who directed it, his name's Robert Rossen, I think.
Mhm.
Is that, yeah. He directed that movie, and he directed The Hustler with Paul Newman and Jackie Gleason and George C. Scott and Piper Laurie, of course. Uh, both of those books are based. Both of those authors of those books are from Kentucky. Uh, was Robert Penn Warren wrote All the Kingsmen, and the guy Walter Tevis, the guy who wrote that chess TV show everybody was going batshit a couple weeks ago about. What's that? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's not the Queen's Gambit, is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Like so, there's a Kentucky connection in there, which is pretty cool. That like two very cool movies directed by the same dude were written by guys that are from Kentucky.
Yeah. And then for my modern time here, I've been playing Dead by Daylight with some friends online, and then I never beat it, but I've probably restarted LA Noir 40 times, which is my nice bridge of 40.
I saw you plant the other day.
Yeah. So I've been playing that. I've been kind of just using a walkthrough just to get through it, just to get back to where I was. But man, I love that game. I just love the story there and everything about it.
Well, isn't there like the hidden packages and Grand Theft Auto where you get film reels and they have like Detour, Double Indemnity, and DOA and stuff like that?
I haven't got to that yet. There's newspapers that kind of tell you like a side story, but I don't remember the film rolls. I mean, I remember the part that always got me about this game was the Intolerant set that you get to play around on. That's still standing in the city. But that was really
it's weird. It's weird that like you bring up intolerance. I was another book I read over since the last time we talked was called The Birth of a Movement. Have you guys heard of this book?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's about the birth of a nation. And like, and there's a guy, it sounds like he was trying to get the movie canceled. And his name's escaping me right now, but like, he was a young black man and he went city to city where they were showing Birth of a Nation. And he tried to get it stopped because Birth of a Nation's basically like it's considered the first like America's first fully motion picture, but it's kind of like it's propaganda that kind of justifies the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah,
have you seen it, Derek?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I was about to ask. It's been so long since I've seen it. I remember. I was wondering if the controversy was that it, puts racism in a good light, which I guess is a problem because I hate when people. It's like, what is it, Huck Finn? They always go after because.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, yeah, no, but this is different. Like like this, the guy who. I think the book's name that Birth of the Nation is based on is actually called The Klansman.
Yeah.
So I mean, like the guy who's a screenwriter was notoriously racist, but like it's I'm not for like I'm kind of iffy on censorship, which we'll probably get to in the news because that's something else that's happened that I noticed recently. But it does, like, after reading this book, you kind of like go, you know what, this guy's got a fucking point. I understand why he wants it canceled, and I kind of understand like why, like, at the end of the book that they caught up with, like, all the people that, before they died, they got quotes for like how they felt about it. The screenwriter was proud of it, and D.W. Griffith was like, yeah, you guys, it probably shouldn't be shown anymore because I think I got the impression that he wasn't too thrilled afterwards. Like, he's proud of the movie, but he wasn't proud of the reputation it gathered.
I feel like we need a, maybe a year from now, we need a similar movie, maybe not glorifying it, but a similar movie in vein of QAnon. Interviewing all these people that were part of it and that are hopefully done with it when all the stupid bullshit they think is going to happen doesn't happen.
Well, did you see that remake?
The
Birth of a Nation.
Well, there's another movie that came out called Birth of a Nation, but there's something crazy that happened with that director. I think he got accused of like during the Me Too thing. He accused of like sexual misconduct or sexual assault, and like that kind of buried the movie.
Okay. I mean, it's got average scores on it. I just didn't know how you make, and I didn't know if it was really the same story or not, because you really can't make that movie. I mean, like we're talking about it now, like it's a movie that almost was almost banned, and I think was certainly banned in certain areas here, but I don't know how you remake that. That's like, how do you remake positively in 2021 like the filming of a Klansman rally? Like that's what the movie is. Like it's not a pretty movie at all. It's a terrible movie, and I mean it's
Well, right
film wise,
now,
but
I think right now is the excellent time to remake it because, especially from anti-KKK point of view, because you can just show 2020 rallies of neo
well,
Nazis.
it needs to be a Shadow the Vampire style movie that shows like I'd like to see a making of the movie where you kind of get in a story of like the good and the not the good, but like I guess the good that came of it, which is like people like this is wrong and giving people vocal protesting ability, like to sit there and go, what the hell's going on? You show the work of the NAACP and all the stuff that came about because of it, and show it as like a you can spotlight the racism of the movie
Well,
and how it was portrayed outward to people that loved it. You can sit there and go like, this was the South then in 1915. So I mean, you can still show the historical importance of the movie, but I don't know.
well, the crazy thing about that, like if because you like old time movies too, if you look at the cast of Birth of a Nation,
Mm-hmm.
like there's like three or four like directors that they were actors back then, but they ended up becoming like great directors, like John Ford, Raoul Walsh. I think Joseph von Sternberg might have been one of those guys, and I think von Stroheim had something to do with it.
Oh,
But like it's like Raoul Walsh. You know who he is?
I don't think so. It
He
doesn't sound familiar.
he directed a bunch of Bogart movies and John Wayne movies.
Hmm.
Like he's one of there's five directors with one eye. Interesting trivia. Like John Ford, Raoul Walsh, Nicholas Ray, Fritz Lang, and the fifth one's Raoul Walsh. Anyway, it's the fifth one come to me, but like he's the dude who plays John Wilkes Booth in Birth of a Nation. And also the thing is, like D.W. Griffith, like as horribly racist as that movie is, he invented a lot of like techniques that are still being used, like like masking and cross cutting and shit like that.
Yeah.
But it's a horribly racist. But like it's like anything like Potemkin and the shit the one that Lee Riefenstahl directed, the Hitler one. You know what I'm talking about?
Will.
Yeah, Triumph of the Will. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to
But
see some Battleship Potemkin. That's been on my list forever too. But yeah, it's what we talked about for the last year is, and like we've talked about the I think early Black Lives Matter stuff, Confederate statue stuff. It's hard to tackle the history. It's really um, it's hard to look at it and like like with this movie, don't bury it. Put a disclaimer on it. Let people know that it's just we're not celebrating this shit anymore.
Well, I mean, it's important. It's, in my opinion, it's vastly important. So when did Birth of a Nation come out? The original,
1915.
1915. Damn us. But yeah, it's important. I mean, you kind of said it a minute ago. It's important to show that, hey, when this movie came out, it was, there's still these feelings and stuff, and that there's this movie come out to, I assume, high acclaim, being pro KKK, even though there were some people that opposed it, but still, I mean, the movie, the making of the movie in and of itself is part of history. That is, obviously, that doesn't mean that we should have like a Birth of a Nation statue at the fucking capital of some
Well,
state.
see, that's the problem. So it is by allowing it to be, it is like allowing the statues to be. Really,
Well, no, I mean,
the promotion of that subject, Birth of a Nation.
yeah, but I mean that's the difference. I mean, for me at least, with like the statues, I don't think any of that shit should be on government property. If you want to make a fucking leader of the KKK statue and put it in a museum or in your fucking backyard, I could care less.
And a
But
movie can be watched.
or I guess like Dixie people or whatever, Confederate flags and Confederate people, like they're fucking traitors, losers. They fucking lost. They don't belong anywhere near our government buildings.
But here's the thing. This is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Like they're called losers and traitors right now, right?
Yeah.
But what happens if they would have won? Would the Union be considered like the losers and traitors?
Oh yeah, of course.
So I mean, like that's one of those things.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
I mean, the losers, yeah.
The losers. I don't think they'd be called the traitors. But, I mean, yeah, you could say they were called traitors, but they were the side of America. They weren't the ones that went against America and went against the American president and stuff.
I mean, like, it's just that's something. Like, it's weird the shit you think of in the middle of the night when there's, especially like like the past week, I got so much fucking reading done, like because there's nobody out. I suspect when we get to the news that's probably gonna be like why a bunch of our COVID statistics are gonna be like really improved this past week.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're gonna be good for a little bit, probably another week, and then we'll probably spike again. Why don't you go ahead and hit the news?
Oh right. Well, we had a lot of. Oh right. What you drinking, Barry?
It's an Angry Orchard. I know it's like Sunday at like 2:00 in the afternoon, but I might have one. It's the one I had in the fridge, so it sounded good.
All right. Is that good?
Yeah, I mean they're sweet. They're good.
Reds is better.
I disagree. I can't do some.
I just want to say, at your wedding, I remember you were trying to figure out what beers to get for kegs, and you got a Reds one, didn't you?
No, we got Angry Orchard.
Oh, did you? I thought it was a Reds. Well, I just remember a certain someone wanted you to get the lemongrass. It's like, that would have been such a disaster. God, people pay money for that.
All right, let's put this news here. Let me see here.
All right. You all ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Somewhat positive news. Our positivity rate is 6.77%. We are a little under 400,000 positive cases and at nearly 4,500 deaths. Our math, according to the Kentucky Virus Monitor, isn't solid red like it was a couple weeks ago. It's mostly orange and a few counties are yellow. So that feels somewhat good, but I suspect that the weather might have something to do with that.
Yeah, and red is what? Uncontrolled spread, basically. That's what that means.
Yeah, red's like, the bottom thing, then it's orange, then yellow, and then wherever one's on top. The second thing, in Kentucky news, Kentucky born Larry Flint died since our last episode. A defender of free speech, and he won a landmark case in the Supreme Court. Parody speech is protected. Did you all watch the movie?
No, I'm familiar with his work, but that's part. I think I've seen parts of the movie.
Yeah, well, the movie's great, and like how he ended up. You all know how he ended up in the wheelchair. He like while he was in the middle of his court case with Jerry Falwell, a sniper took a shot at him, and like he hit him and he hit his lawyer, and like in the movie they just make it look like it's just an anonymous crackpot that did it. But I was reading a wiki article after because doing the research and stuff like that, and it's unsolved in the movie. And the movie came out like 96, but in 98 the guy who actually did it confessed to it, and it's like I think it's an interesting story. Like the guy. His name was Joseph Paul Franklin. He was a white supremacist, and he was a confessed serial killer. He was never charged with the murder, the shooting of Larry Flint, but he's found guilty of 8 unrelated murders, and he was put on death row. Larry Flint went out of his way to see that if he didn't want him executed, he publicly stated it, that's more forgiving than I would be.
Yeah.
Was that forgiveness? Or did he just want him to live out his life in prison?
I don't. That's the weird thing about the death penalty. Like, I used to be somewhat for it, but like, I think when I saw like what rich people could get away with, like, if everything was equal and everybody got the same defense and everybody got like the prosecution was the same, it was all equal filled, I'd be for it, but rich people get away with a lot of shit. But anyway, yeah, it's a. But I thought it was an interesting story. He got executed in 2013, which doesn't feel like a long time ago, but apparently it is according to time.
And that sniper attack left Flint in a wheelchair the rest of his life, right?
Yes, that's like I think it did some spinal damage, and I mean it was fucked. According to the movie, I mean he was addicted to pain pills and opioids, and and it looked like it was a fucking mess. I mean, it didn't look like he was having a good time of life, and that was, I think that was in the mid '80s. I mean, and he just died a couple weeks ago. So I mean, he lived more than half his life, I think, like that. But anyway, but as far as free speech go, he was a defender of it. When we're talking about Birth of a Nation, he'd probably be one of the people that would be trying to defend it. I mean, he talked about how ugly it was, and D.W. Griffith would probably be asshole of the month. But anyway, more Kentucky news. Charles Booker got a book deal, which is great. It's an inspiring story, and it could be the feel-good Frank Capra event of the year of made into a movie. We could have had him, but we got Amy shoved down our throats. I mean,
I don't think he would have beat Mitch, but he would have done better.
I don't think he would have lost by double digits.
Yeah.
And and did you know that sometimes she didn't know if being a mother or being a Marine's harder? Anyway.
The Booker thing to me was like a wild card team that makes the playoffs and then gets to the Super Bowl. Like in sports playoffs, sometimes it's most important to be hot at the right time. And Booker was hot. Like Amy had long cooled off, and they were still pushing for her. But Booker was making some headway, and yeah, he was more further left, obviously, than Amy was. But I mean, he was climbing it. It'd be nice if he gets the book deal, and before it's published, or after it's published, there's a new edition where he's finally made it or something, or we get a part 2 that where we see his ascension into something greater, because he's got a long history. He's got a lot ahead of him.
Go ahead, Derek.
I was just gonna say that I hope that there aren't any skeletons in his closet, or he doesn't become a victim. And I say this that he should become a victim if he was part of this, but a victim of the Me Too movement, because every time it seems like a good story, politician comes out of the woodwork, all of a sudden all these skeletons just show up and they become just like every other scumbag politician. So I hope that he has led a clean life, that nothing comes up that'll destroy him, and he can actually be a decent human being that becomes a politician.
That's the thing, man. There's nothing I've followed him since he announced, and I've listened to every interview that he's given and read everything about the guy. I'm a big fan of the guy, and it just seems like he seems like the kind of guy you would want to be friends with.
Yeah,
he seems like the kind of guy that he would you would never have to get your wallet out if you went out to eat with him, that kind of thing. Where if you called him in the middle of the night, he'd come give you a ride. But that's speculation on my part. I just hope it'd be great if he was the one that knocked off Rand Paul. That's the I don't know if that's if Rand Paul's up for re-election in 2022. I wish Booker would fucking throw his hat in there now, because somebody said on Twitter, it was a pretty funny thing. Apparently Amy said she was getting that itch again, and then somebody goes, "Go scratch it in some other state."
Well, how many times can she fail?
Yeah.
I mean, I got nothing. I got nothing against her. I think she's a decent pick, but she doesn't have she's going up against Titans in Kentucky, and she doesn't have Well,
here's the thing. Her campaign basically is yeah, Mitch is Coca-Cola. I'm stale Dr. K. It's close enough.
Yeah.
Come on. Vote. You can vote for me and you can vote for Trump. It won't hurt my feelings.
I'm a couple years expired Dr. K, but it's okay. It's like some people like their Diet K expired.
And she seems like she seems like a nice enough person, but she has absolutely no political experience. And I'm not saying that's a negative thing, but she lost 2 campaigns based on her speculation. When she just how do you got when she should have said like, how do you know what I'm going to do? I have no political experience. I can tell you what you're going to do. Like when she was attacked, she could have went after Barr or McConnell, but she didn't. She got on the defense, and she had no record to defend, which is great because you don't have to defend anything because you haven't made any decisions like that.
I just find her not inspiring at all. And
she needs to get in to a state level. She needs to go to Frankfurt and do something there. I mean, because I feel like she's lost a lot of Democrat. I mean, people are just like,
I don't think she's ever going to be high level.
Yeah, you just don't shoot out of the gate and try to take on the
Mitch McConnell
running the Senate.
that like is beloved for some reason by because our state's pretty fucking red. So,
well, no, because both he and Andy Barr, all they have to do is just mention abortion, and they already got 55% of the vote.
And then socialism, that's the rest of it.
Well, I mean, yeah, and the thing is, like, if you want to see a perfect, example of capitalism, you kind of look at like the world we live in right now. Like, this is all, all the positivity rates are because people have to go to work. But anyway, here or there. Now, we were in the middle of a snowstorm, guys. I don't know if y'all noticed that.
that's why there's like a million fucking rays of sun coming through Barry's window, lifting off all the snow and shit out there.
This is something I was thinking about because I was telling you about my heater issues. Like, I couldn't. It was hard. They had to come get me to go to work a couple times this week, and then I was just thinking like how depressing it was to be like actually snowed in. And I was thinking about The Shining, and I start feeling like I was fascinated by Jack Torrance's character in The Shining, but this past week made me kind of like relate to him a little bit more. Like, it's like, well, maybe killing his family might have been wrong, but I can kind of understand.
all the work and no play.
Yeah,
makes gold boy.
We actually watched that. I had seen it 1,000 times, but no one else in the house had, so we got to watch it again. And, I think everybody enjoyed it. They were kind of confused. There's this scene with the guy in the bear suit, and they're like, everybody was like, "What?" And every 10 years it seems like I watch it, so I'm like, I forget what the deal is with the bear guy and the. Do you remember what I'm talking about, D? At the very end of the movie, I think, if I remember correctly, it's Shelley Duvall's character. She's running and trying to get away, and she gets to the top of the stairs or something and just turns and looks, and there's a person in a bear suit, but like with butt flaps, and they're just giving head to this old guy. And
I remember that.
Yeah, you see like if this is the body, like the bed's here, you see legs and the guy, it's just kind of like, huh? And that's a scene, and you're like, where the shit did that come from? But yeah, I think that the music in that movie, I forgot how good the music is in that movie. God, it's so good.
Did you all ever see did you see the sequel, Dr. Sleep?
I haven't. I need to.
I watched it. It was the last movie I saw in the theater. I watched it with my sister, and it was fantastic. And there's this crazy documentary, if you all called Room something. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-uh.
It talks about all the crazy conspiracy theories connected with Kubrick, like how he's the one that faked the moon landing and stuff like that, and that The Shining was his apology. There's all kinds of hidden things read into it because Kubrick movies are just packed with details, and it'd be a great triple feature. We might have to do that, if we have another snowstorm this year. Okay. Last thing in local news. Did you all hear about the cop that got fired?
Uh-uh.
Okay. His name's Jervis Middleton.
he was given his walking papers, and like what happened was he allegedly was he gave a BLM protester information about the cops. I don't know exactly what information was given to him, but was let go about it. And what kind of pisses me off about this thing is that like it seemed like he got fired awful quickly, but like they didn't sit like they made a public statement about it, and then like they also released other discipline issues that they had with him, but like they didn't say anything at all about the cops and that Breonna Taylor thing until like the public basically forced them to. And it just like, that kind of pisses me off. I think everybody should be kind of pissed off about it too. All right.
Yeah, the Breonna Taylor thing is. I mean, it's pretty much not being talked about anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's still infuriating because it didn't seem like we got any kind of justice, and it just seemed like whatever discipline that they're going to give those cops, are like, you little rascal.
Yeah.
Like,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Actually, I don't know if this is in your news, but the cops that pushed that old man down, that cracked his head open on the sidewalk, got no charges. Just fucking bullshit.
Well, there's another cop thing that happened where they maced a 9-year-old girl. Did y'all hear about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a horrifying video because they actually released a body cam footage, and I can't figure like I got a nephew, our Oscar, the one that says bitch sucker of the week, like he's 8, and I can't imagine like him being 9 years old. I'd be like another, like being a year older, and me going, you know what, I can't control that little fucker. I'm gonna mace the shit out of him. Like, and there were several cops that were just standing around and they were okay with it. That kind of pissed me off. I mean, it seemed like it should be a bigger news story too, but I guess the Kardashian Kanye West divorce means more to more people. Anyway, on to national news. There's some crazy shit here. Well, Joe Biden, he's been on job exactly a month, according to, was our inauguration, was that the 20th or 21st?
20th.
Yeah, so it's been a month. And here's a list of things that haven't happened. The orange man's gone, which is good. But those stimulus checks that were supposed to be 2,000 and they became 1,400, nobody's got them yet. Kids are still in cages. Deportations are still going on. The single dollar of student loan debt has been canceled. And no minimum wage increase. And this is in my notes. I said, like, at least with Trump, we were told to go sink or swim. Biden is tossing us anvils in cinder blocks while we are drowning. Although he did pull off a fucking miracle. Like, the biggest news, the positive thing, was he allegedly beat his granddaughter at Mario Kart using Luigi, which is amazing because nobody's ever won with Luigi.
I mean, we talked about that when he got elected. I mean, we expected the status quo. I mean,
they are pushing for it. I don't know why it's taking them so long to do the checks, though.
I don't think we're going to get them. We're just going to have to live with the fact that, like, during a pandemic, Trump gave us $1,800 and Joe Biden's not giving us shit. That's got to be somewhat embarrassing. It's sort of like the same argument I had about when we were having issues getting our podcast started. Like, wow, we must really suck if somebody that sucks even worse than us is able to do something. But, like, anyway. All right, number 2 in the national news. Rush Limbaugh died. He was one of the greatest radio guys ever, even though I hated his fucking guts. But Jesus Christ, man. That guy had a career. Now, here's some of his greatest hits. Like, he's the one that pushed the term feminazi. Like, like I don't know if he invented it, but he made it popular because he was on the radio and they had all the people listening to him. Do you all remember when he's arrested for painkillers?
Yeah.
Yeah. His deal was that he went to rehab. He didn't have to go to jail. All charges would be dropped, which I'm cool with that. But it seemed like that's what we were talking about the death penalty earlier about like how rich people get away with shit. If Rush Limbaugh had been like a poor uneducated kid, he would have got that same fucking deal. But anyway, And he called Sandra Fluke a slut because she wanted birth control to be covered by healthcare, which seems like it's perfectly rational. People think birth control just stops babies, but a lot of women have problems with their cycles, and birth control helps regulate it. But Rush Limbaugh just automatically assumed, I'm not going to spend my hard-earned tax dollars on women that want to enjoy sex. Not my, I mean, just. All right, and he helped advance the voter fraud, bullshit insurrection thing, and he never had to face any consequences until he died. Now, positive story about it, and it's my favorite thing about, Rush Limbaugh dying, is that Marvin Shanken of Cigar Aficionado magazine wrote an article about Rush. Rush always had a cigar in his mouth, like when he was golfing and stuff like that. And they're shocked that he died of lung cancer. I mean, and it's as shocking as when Morton Downey Jr. died of lung cancer, like when we were kids, and how shocking it's going to be Slash dies eventually, like from lung cancer, because you think of Slash, you think of cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Rush. I see Rush in a polo shirt with a cigar in his mouth on a golf course where, like reading Democrat suck news, for 3 or 4 hours at a time.
I had to show the kids. So I pulled up some YouTube videos and of Rush, because I remember in like the early '90s, I think when he kind of came into our market. Like I remember like the same week I saw Jurassic Park, I heard his voice for the first time. So I must have been like early '90s, but I remember I had to show the kids, and it was like a 10-minute clip. It was like a best of, and within the first minute, he was making the fight an argument that that slavery affected white people as much as black people, and in the fact that we fought a civil war to free the black people from their slavery. So like, how could you blame white people on slavery? That was his argument. And I was like, okay, that's enough. You all don't need to watch any of this shit. Like he's going to say some more stupid shit. Don't, we're good. You've seen it. You've seen him.
I got to read 2 great quotes from Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
So first one is Rush Limbaugh said, I mean, let's face it. We didn't have slavery in this country for over 100 years because it was a bad thing. Quite the opposite. Slavery built the South. I'm not saying we should bring it back. I'm just saying it had its merits. For one thing, the streets were safer after dark. And then the other one is, you know who deserves a posthumous Medal of Honor? James Earl Ray, which was the assassin of Martin Luther King. We miss you, James. Godspeed.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, piece of shit scumbag. Nobody should fucking shed a tear after he died.
Oh my gosh.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck him. Just like bury his grave deeper to the point where like you're just hitting like molten lava and then put his body in it. Just let it just dissolve.
I just hope that they buried him face down. That way, he tries to dig his way out in the wrong direction.
Oh shit.
Did we lose you, Will?
Where did Will go? What the hell's going on?
Is he playing with himself again?
Then you get like a tech over at Will's house.
He said 1 second. He's
I
beating
can-
off. That
Yeah,
beating
probably.
off little some bitch.
Try squeezing that cheese out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Gross.
I'll jump on this next one since it's football related. We had a Super Bowl since our last episode, as we mentioned. The
God.
Bucs beat the shit out of the Chiefs.
That's what I hate is like, you want the Super Bowl at least to be interesting.
Well,
And that was one of like many that just wasn't.
The problem is that so Patrick Mahomes did not have his blockers. Like he was dealing with a rough line.
Oh yeah, I mean like he had like within 2 seconds he was swarmed every single play, and so he had to make like snap plays every single time. Like how the fuck you're not gonna go anywhere doing that. No matter how good of a quarterback you are.
And dealing with the toe injury, I mean, it was kind of keeping him less mobile than he normally is. But still, I mean, they beat the hell out of him. I mean, they covered the receivers. I mean, they did everything they needed to do, and it wasn't even close. But we had a fun streaker.
Yeah.
that came in, and he was juking and jiving though for sure. Like he was doing
Yeah.
some spins but yeah, that hot dog can get you every time.
That whole bullshit of like, oh, we don't want to fucking show it on TV to, give people encouragement to do it, and then you find like people online have posted like from the stands. Just fucking show it, dude. It was the most exciting thing in the entire Super Bowl.
Get some guys, get like the biggest dude to tackle him and show that. Show him where he like detaches his spine from his body.
Get the biggest dude and have him in the same outfit. Like that, whatever you want to call it, banana hammock or whatever. Make it interesting.
Well, the thing is that kind of pissed me off because the article was misleading because they said streaker, and
He was
streaker. Yeah, like I was expecting the dude to be dong dangling, fucking nude, just fucking helicoptering in the end zone, but no.
Like, where's my penis?
And like, well, here's the thing too. I don't know if you all read about the article about it. Like, he made a $50,000 bet on on somebody streaking during a thing, and it seemed like him making a bet and then him being the one to do it would be conflict of interest and kind of disqualify him from collecting on the winnings. But there's no word on if the Vegas book paid off that.
I think from what I read, he's not going to get it, but whatever.
He should at least get his money back. That's
It's supposed to be, I think, what, $75,000 he was going to get or something.
Well, the thing is, the streaking thing I'm cool with. Whenever naked people do shit that they're not supposed to do, I laugh. That naked video, besides the Twisted Tea video, like there's a dude that we suspected was our friend Tim, that was wearing a panda hat on the interstate rollerblading with a golf club.
Mm-hmm.
And he was naked, and it was the best video from last year. And there's nothing funnier. Every time I watch that video, if I think about that video long enough, I'll start laughing.
Good old Tim.
Yeah, Tim, you son of a bitch. All right, on to the next thing. Amazon, I found this out a few days after the insurrection. Amazon stopped selling the Turner Diaries. Are you all familiar with this book?
Nope.
How to look it up.
Well, it's basically it's a racist manuscript. Basically it's a how-to book, and I'm kind of indifferent on Amazon not selling it anymore because that's that same argument that if you listen to heavy metal or play video games, that's the stuff that makes you violent. But the thing is, there's actually somewhat Timothy McVeigh had a copy of it in his car when he blew up the Oklahoma City the building. Was it a federal building? Yeah, and there's been many cases of it being associated with nefarious activities, and it's basically it's a book. It's a diary, of course, and I think the main guy's name's Turner, which I know it sounds kind of silly for a name. Anyway, but it's a notorious book, and there's actually there's a warning on the book that was fascinating. Let me read it out to you. The disclaimer, because we were talking about disclaimers with Birth of a Nation and stuff like that. The disclaimer on the cover of the book says this book contains racist propaganda. The FBI said it was the blueprint for the Oklahoma City bombing. Many would like it banned. Is being published to alert and warn America. Now, that seems like it's somewhat credible, but it's also being published to make the publisher money. And Amazon kind of taking it away kind of made it taboo, and now there's an alert to it, and it didn't make the book disappear because you can read the whole thing for free online. But it's I read it a couple years ago because it kept coming up in different that the first time I read the Alan Berg book, it was brought up, and then are you all familiar with the guy who wrote the Dragon Tattoo books, Stieg Larsson?
Mm-hmm. Seen some of the movies, but not familiar with him or anything.
He's a journalist, and there's a book of his journalism called the Expo Files, and he talks about it, which is pretty wild that a dude from, I think he was Swedish, he had an extensive knowledge of white supremacist takes in literature. I don't know if they have a problem over there or not, but it's pretty fucking crazy.
So let's play a game. Let's play a game, Will. since you're the big reader.
Yes, sir.
It's not really a game, but anyway. So D, video games, rated, right?
Huh?
They're rated, right? Like teen,
Like, yeah.
for everybody.
Uh-huh.
Okay, music, parental
Yeah.
advisory stickers.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Will, the oldest media that we have. Well, okay, outside of just paintings and art, but books, novels themselves, any rating system whatsoever on those.
No, not at all.
Which is crazy because like this is a problem that we could kind of get around and bypass. We wouldn't have to worry about banned books to me if there was some sort of system, because as you mentioned, people thought Doom was the reason that we had Columbine. And we should have access to these pieces of literature, art, games, film. But it's just kind of strange that like the oldest medium doesn't have a rating system on it.
Well, what's wild, like, is Rate Me on in Euro?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I remember there's a stink about that, like when it came out, and they actually like the Walmart version says Raif Me, RAIF, like and it's like, and I think they recall a bunch of CDs they changed the jackets on it for that, but like, you can still buy. Well, I mean, you could buy 50 Shades of Grey, like, in the book aisle, like next over, and like, and to me that seemed like that would do Rape Me, like, it's not a pro rape song, I mean, you you're not gonna get
Didn't Kids Bop cover it?
Well, I mean, I can't. I mean, like, I've never raped anybody, and I don't. It's not. I don't see it in my foreseeable future. But I can't.
Really good.
Well, I mean, like, I gotta be honest, guys. It seems like it's kind of a shitty thing to do, but that's just me. You all might think differently, but like, I can't imagine just being in my car going, okay, like rubbing my hands together, like I might get just jamming Rape Me, like, they get pumped out, like, like it's like a fucking. Yeah. It's Back in Black before a football game.
Well, didn't you say you had no thoughts of rape until that song, and then you're like, man, I just really want to start raping people.
That's the thing is, like, and well, because I don't know, Kurt Cobain was somewhat socially concerned about things, and there's a lot of deep shit in his lyrics, and like that Polly's like about like a serial killer kidnapping somebody, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I mean, again, he's not on the side of the kidnapper in that song, I don't think. But what you gotta do?
Yeah, when it, like, I hate, like, really big. We talked this before, like big rape scenes in movies, and like that Straw Dogs movie has a pretty brutal one. And the thing I always come back to is like, I mean, you have to be some kind of fucked up to like have like a crying, pleading woman there and still be able to get it up, or to even like make you get it up more. Like, that's just fucked up.
It's, well, the thing is that's another movie that got attacked when it came out. And like, and it's pretty crazy that, like, he's got two movies that, like, they were originally released as R-rated movies, but when the ratings board got a hold of them again, they rated Wild Bunch X and Straw Dogs as NC-17 because that nudity, I mean, it's I don't know. It's an effective like, scene because it's not pleasant to watch.
Nah. It's on my list of movies I never want to see again just because of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a French movie that came out in the early 2000s called Irreversible. Have you guys seen it?
Mm.
It's a pretty cool. It does the memento, a betrayal storytelling thing where they start the ending and you see pieces and it keeps going back. As the movie's going further, the time's going backwards, and there's a horrifying rape scene in that movie. And it's as uncomfortable as Straw Dogs, but it's a great movie though. On other stuff,
it's like, how do you segue away from rape?
Easy. Are you all familiar with Eric Prince?
I saw your note here.
Yes, Eric Prince is he's a murdering mercenary, and he's a CEO of Blackwater. He's a billionaire for being a mercenary, which sucks. And apparently, he violated a UN arms embargo. And it'd be great if he got in trouble for it, but I don't think anything's going to happen to him. It sucks. I don't know why mercenary should just be a thing in fiction. Like, it shouldn't be like a real life thing. Like, like in my notes, I wrote down the Expendables and the Musketeers. Like, they're fun movies and books, but like two of the greatest political minds were Sun Tzu and Machiavelli, and they both hated fucking mercenaries.
Like, how do we get somebody to do our dirty work without like our country being to blame, though?
No, it can be argued that we don't do dirty work and we try to keep everything up, but I mean, stupid me. I mean, I guess the mercenary thing's a way around it. I guess. Fucking shithead. Well, and the thing is, Eric Prince was like one of Trump's biggest donors, and his sister is Betsy DeVos, the lady that was in charge of she was the Department Secretary of Education. So I mean, and she's another one family raised those two assholes, and they're both billionaires, independent of each other. One's a billionaire, like mercenary, and the other one's a billionaire from just ripping people out with student loans. That's what, like, I know we've discussed, we've had stalemate when it comes to student loans. That's why I don't like student loans, because you're not paying, like, the interest is going to assholes like Betsy DeVos. She had one of the best news stories from a couple of years ago was her yacht got loose, and I was so happy about that because it made me think about my friends, because a couple of our friends who I won't name, like, destroyed a boat that was in a parking spot. And it's one of my favorite stories of all time. Now, we had Ted Cruz saga, but like I feel that take up a big segment, like, but the last bit of news that I wanted to touch on, like, I'm gonna tell our audience, Christopher Plummer died a couple weeks ago, and he was acting for 70 years, right? And these two heathen co-hosts of mine, I asked them, like, hey, let's do a top 5 list. They're both like, no, I don't know anything about it. And I'm thinking,
who you talking about? Who died?
Yeah.
To say nothing is harsh, because there's several of his movies that I do love, but it feels like I don't know the whole scope, the whole breadth. This whole thing. That's my problem. Is I couldn't put together a top 5. I feel like looking at a top 5 of I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm trying to think of, like a.
I think the problem is it was a 2/3 thing where, like with our today's subject, Sega, and I'll go into it when we get to there, that like I don't have a huge experience with Sega, so my list may kind of suck because it's my limited experience, but it's fine. But then when you have 2 of us out of the 3 that don't like so Christopher Plummer, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember in this movie we played this small bit, and everything would be I think it'd be a disservice for us to like.
It's like making a Nintendo top 5 of all their games, and you're like, I've only played Virtual Boy. That's what it's like for me, because I do love movies, and I've loved movies from you said 70 years. And, so yeah, I like movies that are 60, 70 years old, but yeah, I could not give it a proper list.
I also mistook him. I was like, oh yeah, he was in this one movie, and it was actually Max Van Sydow that was in the movie, so that was a bit embarrassing.
No, the thing is, strangely enough, they did get confused. There was a Bill Paxton, Bill Pullman kind of thing with both those guys.
Yeah,
because they're both. I think Max von Sydow died a couple years ago, and he was in his 90s, and Christopher Plummer was. I think they were out for a lot of the same roles. But anyway, so I made a top 5 list just as it felt like something I had to do, because Christopher Plummer did give me a lot of good memories of movies. So, Knives Out, 9, Murder by Decree, Somewhere in Time, and The Man Who Would Be King. Like, The Man Who Would Be King is a great movie. John Huston directed it, and Christopher Plummer's in it, but like he's not the star, but he's a big part of it. It's the only movie where Sean Connery and Michael Caine, they're in it together and they play off each other. They're in several other movies together, but they're not in scenes together. But if you watch that movie, you'll wish that they did like 30 movies together. Because, Sean Connery's another one we just lost recently, too. Now, palate cleanse. Have you all been following the Ted Cruz thing?
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with it, guys. Like because I hate his guts, but I did a timeline of the shit he did, and as I was talking to my mom about it, and my mom brought up something that I completely forgot because he's done so much stupid shit that like I forgot completely. He fought with is his name Seth Gordon?
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen, yeah, sorry. Seth Gordon, he got in a fight with him.
Yeah,
Like,
on Twitter.
Yeah, and I completely forgot about that. That's how much, that's how much like crazy shit that he's done. That I forgot about that one thing, and that went on for like a week.
Yeah, you don't get in a fight with a comedian on Twitter.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I'm not saying that Seth Rogen's like the funniest guy in the world, but if Seth Rogen doesn't come up with good comebacks to bury you, then he's got plenty of friends that'll help him out.
But anyway, we'll try to go through this thing, and I'll stop and we can comment on it as we go on. Now, he helped escalate the Trump won the election Stop the Steal campaign.
Yeah, he was one of the few people that after the insurrection still pushed it.
Yeah, but although he did, well, he kind of tried doing it both ways. He tried to like take credit for it and also oh no, that's not. Trump should be punished kind of thing. Okay, when the Robin Hood hedge fund thing happened,
That was crazy.
yeah, AOC wanted to go after him, and then Ted Cruz basically was like, "I agree with her 100%," and AOC was like, "Hey asshole, go fuck yourself." I'm paraphrasing, of course. I was gonna try to get Barry and his wife to play these parts. Maybe spicy a bit later, but she said that basically, hey, I'd rather work with somebody who didn't try to have me fucking killed.
Yep.
Yeah, she said, I'm happy to work with Republicans on this issue where there's common ground, but you almost had me murdered 3 weeks ago, so you can sit this one out. Happy to work with almost any other GOP that aren't trying to get me killed. In the meantime, if you want to help, you can resign.
Yeah, which is nicer than I would have said it, because I would have suggested the star of our theme song, pull Bud Dwyer. All right. During President Biden's inauguration, he wore a come and take it face match, which seems kind of out of place, considering that he was for Stop the Steal and I just hate when people do things when it's just politically convenient for them.
Yeah, like Lindsey Graham's entire career.
Yes, and I understand politicians are supposed to pick their spots and try to take advantage of things, but the comedian Tim Dillon said Ted Cruz looks like the guy who always got caught doing stupid shit in school. Let's see. During the impeachment during the impeachment trial, Mike Lee, and Lindsey Graham ended up meeting with Trump's horrible legal team, which could have been a Stooges or Marx Brothers sketch. But that's a fascinating story by itself. Did you all follow that shit?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I heard about it was because I'm sure they had already talked to their other Republicans, is they basically went in there and be like, yeah, you guys already won.
Well, it seems. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Another book that I read during that break, I don't know if I told you all about it. It's a book called Sorcery at Caesars. And it's about the Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler fight from 1987.
I thought it was going to be like magic at Little Caesars pizza place or something. But go on.
Clearly. But it would be like if Sugar Ray met with the judges before he fought. And when you see him, hey guys, I thought you might like this pizza and six pack, that kind of thing. Anyway,
was there like a bad call or a draw or something at the end of that? I don't know.
The fight's fantastic, and and something I was going to talk to you all off air about later on, but we'll get to that. Don't let me forget about it. But anyway, it seemed like it would be illegal, but then I started looking up at like and it's like it'd be illegal for somebody to talk to a jury during a trial because like you're not supposed the jury's supposed to like just look at be objective and like but apparently like the senators make their own rules when it comes to their own, so that they were able to get with that shit, which seems like that should be something that should be taken care of immediately. But again, who am I? Now,
I don't think it would have changed anything though, to be honest.
well, and also like I don't know how. 67 votes is what they needed, and they only got like what 50, 59, 58.
I think so, somewhere in there.
I think it was 50. I think it was 57. They were 10 away.
But and it's a victory for Trump somehow when over 50% voted that he had something to do with it. I don't.
That's also the most bipartisan impeachment vote I think there's ever been.
Yeah, but he's claiming it as a victory, which it seemed like ideally he should just be quiet for the rest of his life because he basically got away with all kinds of shit, and I don't think he's gonna like actually face any kind of consequences. But back to Ted Cruz. All right, Gina Carano got axed for the Mandalorian show for saying shitty things.
She seems like a really dumb person. Like, well, just a meathead.
Well, the thing is, I think what happened with her, and it's just my opinion, like she was supposed to be the female MMA star because she got some wins together and she was attractive and she was a good talker and people liked her. But what happened? She ran into Chris Cyborg, and Chris Cyborg is one of the best fighters. I mean, ever. I mean, I'm not qualifying saying female or male. She's just, I don't know if you guys are familiar with her. She's probably the second best fighter, like female fighter of all time after Amanda Nunes. But she beat the hell out of Gina Carano. And Disney should try to get Cyborg because Cyborg, she just looks like, she's just a cool looking person. I don't know, like we had to spice the picture of her or something like that. But like Cruz completely misunderstood. He confused reality with fiction. And he was praising Gina Carano's character from The Mandalorian like it had anything to do with her. And it's another dumbass thing that he got involved in that he should have just kept his mouth shut about. But that was the least of his problems because, well, the winter storm of, my sister called it Snowvid 21. Like a blizzard hit Texas. And like a bunch of dumbass tweets that he did from years ago popped up. And he was bashing Governor Newsom of California for having rolling blackouts when the wildfires were going on. And all the Texas politicians had shit come up, like Abbott and our show favorite Dan Crenshaw. Like, and they all look kind of stupid now in retrospect. And like, and he kind of did something that was somewhat human. And he says, I have no defense. A blizzard strikes Texas and our state shuts down. Not good. Stay safe. And that was the most likable thing I've ever seen Ted Cruz like say or do. And it seemed like, man, this he could went on the path to repairing his image because he's got a horrible dog shit reputation right now, and it didn't help out. Like he could have actively promoted FEMA camps and like tried to get the National Guard in and everything like that. One of the ideas I had was like turning schools and armories into make do heating shelters. But he had more important shit to do. He had a vacation to get to. Videos started showing up on Twitter showing Ted and his family getting ready to board a plane. And did you all see the video of him? Like, he has mask on in the airport and he's dragging his luggage. And that wasn't an overnight bag. That was that was luggage where you're going to stay somewhere for a while.
Well, and his story changed several times. Like they said, he's always trying to make it sound better. Like, when it first came out, it was like, oh, this is a long planned vacation. Yeah. And then it was like, oh no, my daughter's just like spur of the moment was like, hey, we're cold, let's get out of here. And he was planning to stay like for at least the weekend. And he's like, oh no, it was just an overnight that I was going to come back immediately. And like all this fucking bullshit. And did you see the what's this fucker's name? Donald Trump Jr. tweet about it?
I did not.
Where this is hilarious because you know who the governor of Texas is, right?
Yes, Abbott.
Yeah, so Donald Trump Jr. tweeted the hypocrisy of those trying to cancel Ted Cruz, who have been totally silent on their Democratic governor's incompetence is telling. Yeah, it's not a Democratic governor in fucking Texas, it's a Republican. It's like I don't know, it's just,
he scored his own goal. He's
yeah.
But one of the great things about it was the memes popped up everywhere. Like Ben Shapiro said something, like, and he's another one I don't particularly like. He's probably gonna be the dude that takes over Rush Limbaugh's spot. He said, "What is Ted Cruz supposed to do? Go and hit the pipes, frozen pipes with a blowtorch?" And it just seems like optics wise, Giuliani got like a big political boost after 9/11 because he was just walking around looking concerned. He didn't do anything, but he just looked like he gave a fuck. And if you look like you give a fuck, you can stay elected for a long fucking time. Now, Derek said he blamed the kids, which is what he did, and then he's on Shannon Hannity's show, and he said that he planned on staying there and he was gonna work remotely, which is great. It's like, nobody else had that option. And there was a great meme that came up, and I was gonna, if I can find it again, I'll send it to you, Derek. They show a picture of Ted Cruz and his wife, and they're like, these people want to escape to a foreign country to make life better for their families. And then they show the people, the immigrants that are being detained. It just says us too.
Okay, wait. Okay, yeah, the AOC thing. You have to mention that because you touched on like people like, oh, what should Cruz do?
Well, here's the thing. Like, Beto O'Rourke, who I don't like that much, he joined forces with AOC, and together they've raised almost $3 million.
Yeah,
and AOC's not a politician.
Actually, they're up to 4 million now.
Yeah, and I have some criticisms of her. I mean, I absolutely adore her, but nobody's perfect politically. But she's doing this, and she's making Ted Cruz look really foolish right now. I mean, which is great because that's what she did before. Because he was part of the people that were rallying those assholes up in the insurrection. But which leads me to my summation thing that I think that Bitch Sucker of the Week should be renamed the honorary Ted Cruz Bitch Sucker of the Week award.
Bitch Sucker of the Week.
Because there's nothing. This is all shit that happened this year. This isn't like a lifetime achievement award. This is like the past 40 days. I mean, this is some bitch sucking excellence. This is
a lifetime of bitch sucking. Well, and also I've seen some good things that are like, but Biden's already made funds available to Texas and brought in generators and stuff, and they're like, Texas didn't have to worship him or say good things about him like Trump was requiring of California for the fires. He's got it done. Texas is a red state. They didn't vote for Biden, but he's got it done. He didn't, and he in his speech, he's like, these are Americans, whereas Trump was like, oh, these people don't say good things about me. I don't like them.
I've got people on Facebook that are like, I wonder why AOC's doing this. Probably for political reasons. And you're like, well, let's see. If you follow her entire career, probably because it's the right thing to do. And two, people in Texas don't vote for her in her current position. Yeah,
I mean,
some points down the road, but
I have no doubt that part of it is, for showmanship or whatever. I mean, she's getting big points for it. She's she's from New York, or she's a representative of New York, and has nothing to do with Texas. I have no doubt that's part of it. That's not like all of it. I mean,
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like, who gives a fuck? She raised $4 million to Texas. What has Ted Cruz done?
Yeah.
Ted Cruz went to Cancun.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got no problem if people want to parade around a good deed if they did a good deed. You know, even if they did it for show to get themselves brownie points, $4 million is still going to Texas to help Texas.
I mean, that asshole George Washington that led our army fighting the British. What an asshole! He did to become president in later years. What an ass!
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He become the first president.
Yeah.
He just wanted that accolade. Be like, well, bucket list done. I'm the first president of the United States. Like, didn't really want to go to war with the British or anything and make it exist, but got what I wanted out of it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, no matter, I mean, like, again, like you all said it, like nobody Texas votes counts in New York. Like, and she might, and the thing is, even if she was doing things for the worst reason, which would be like, career advancement and to gain political currency later on, political capital, like, you all said it, like, like she's helping out. And like, and just, yeah, like, there's nothing criticizable about her for this. She's,
Well, see, there's a difference between what she did or has done, and like Trump gassing people to get a photo op with a Bible, which serves no purpose other than to try to get gullible religious votes, even though like he never goes to church and he's not religious in any way whatsoever. There's a very big difference between those two actions.
But
Hey, speaking of AOC, you know what she does in her spare time too to get money? She played them games.
She plays League of Legends.
I don't know if she plays Genesis, but she does play some League of Legends. She gets on there and twitches. And is it called twitching? That's an old man thing I just made up.
I don't know.
I don't think it is.
But no, well, a funny bit on that real quick is, so she was like, oh, during this pandemic, I got silver in League of Legends, which is, like you get, depending on how well you do in games, in ranked games, you get rated or whatever. And then there's some guy, some like, representative. It's like, we don't pay you to play games, and it's like, I'm pretty sure she's not like doing this on her like government work time.
I mean, she's not in Congress kicking her feet up on her desk and not paying attention.
Fucking assholes.
yeah, it would be great if like they just caught her, like like somebody came in her office and she's speed running Super Metroid, like, just fucking around. And the thing is, I can't criticize anybody for fucking around at work, because I've made a career. Like every job I've ever had, I was always fucking around at. I mean, I always got work done, but well, you work with me, Barry. Like I try to make things fun.
Yeah.
And who cares if AOC's like? I'd much rather her be playing video games, like at work, than having a mini vacation because your house is too fucking cold because like the alleged windmills are causing the cold.
Yeah. And that was a whole other thing where they try to blame the new Green Deal, which they aren't a part of at all yet, and blame the windmills, which windmills did stop working, but the majority of what was hurt in Texas was natural gas and coal, I believe, or no, natural and nuclear. And a governor piece of shit in Texas went on Fox News, was like, oh yeah, the new Green Deal, blah, blah, blah. And then like had to retract that later when it was shown to be completely false. Because,
but
him and like Fox News and all them get like shitloads of money from fossil fuel companies. But anyway, the fuck? Someone get the bubble fart or something?
My dog is dreaming. Wake him up. I don't know what he's dreaming about, but man, I think Freddy's coming for him.
Is he all right?
No, he's good. He does that from time to time when he's just deep in it.
Did Dog Freddy get him? You wake him up before Dog Freddy got him.
It's like Freddy the dog catcher.
It's not gonna like
What?
fly up on the ceiling and
I
start
don't
spitting
think-
blood everywhere.
Walking around my room.
Does the curly thing. Barry, why isn't the camera on the dog doing this so we can have it as a palate cleansing video?
Oh gosh.
So
Y'all ready?
before
I
we
think
get
you're
on
trying to
with
segue into our subject of the day.
I think that I don't mean to cut you all off, but I think I need to take a break to urinate.
Yes, it wasn't me this time.
We ain't got time for that.
All right.
Well, the thing is, there's no reason for us to hold in our urine. It's not like we're live right now.
Here. All right,
Let's take a break,
go.
guys.
Oh.
Yeah. Drain that tinkler.
All right, we're back from our bathroom break there, and ready to talk some Genesis. So, as we always do with these top fives, we'll go through I guess we'll do our 5 through 2, do a little recap, hit the responses we got on the internet, and then give away our number ones. So, I guess we'll do. I got my screen. I got UD, me, and Will. So, D, do you want to give us your number 5?
Sure. And so I guess I'll have to run into it real quick. So I don't have a very good or strong experience with the Genesis or the Sega Genesis or the match system or whatever. Like we never owned one. I didn't have any friends with them. The only experience I really had is we rented them a few times from the game stores, which of course is always really expensive. And this place where my brother used to go and practice baseball, you could practice in baseball in like a cage. You could rent one there real cheap. So I would rent it there and play it while he was doing the baseball shit. But so my number 5, which I could kind of say is really not that great of a game, but I always enjoyed it. I always want to go back to it. I love the graphics and I loved the transformations. Is Altered Beast. Like I said, I don't know if I could say it's really that great of a game. I think I went back and replayed it like a handful of years ago on emulation, and it's kind of fun, but it's also, But it's still a really cool game, and it's kind of a staple of Sega Genesis days. So that's my number 5.
So that was I want to say that was a pack-in for a little bit.
Yeah,
It was the original pack-in before
Okay.
Sonic.
before Sonic, and then it was Sonic 2, and then it was Streets of Rage 2.
So Derek mentioned he didn't have much experience with Genesis, but I mean, I'm sure like all of us. I mean, because I didn't have a Master System. Remember, our video store had the boxes, the white grid boxes, and you were like, "What the shit is this? Like, this looks so terrible compared to my NES." I had Genesis experience because I had some friends that had them and end up getting one, but arcade. I mean, Sega's known for arcades. I mean, I'm sure we all dabbled in some Sega games before we even got to Genesis, but
Yeah,
Altered Beast is a fun game. The art's so cool.
yeah. It's like very like Greek mythology kind of.
The only thing I don't like about it is whenever you throw a punch or a kick, it doesn't look like it's. I mean, like when you kick, it looks like you're doing like a low UFC kind of kick.
Yeah, like a leg sweep or like a leg, just where you're trying to injure their legs. Yeah,
Yeah, and like and if you duck and you kick straight up, and it doesn't look like you connect with anything.
Yeah.
But it's a fun game, and that's like the rise from your grave, like that's
yeah.
as iconic as any other voice sample. I'd say probably either like the Sega voice thing at the beginning of Sonic,
Yeah.
or like the the Space Harrier does.
Yeah, and then it has the cool like the cut scene when you transform into like the Wolfman or whatever.
Yeah, those are always cool.
Oh yes,
That's my number 5.
all right.
I'll
Mr. Wheel. Oh wait,
are you-
who goes next?
go Will. Yeah, we'll go ahead and go next.
Okay. My number 5 is Dune 2 Battle of Arrakis. I don't know if you guys have ever played this one. Well,
No.
let me back up a little bit. I had a Genesis when I was a kid. I remember getting it for Christmas when I was 12. And the big reason I got it is that was around the same time I started reading comic books. And Eric Larson was doing a run on Amazing Spider-Man, and they had an advertisement for the Spider-Man versus the Kingpin video game, which that was the first game I ever bought with my own money. Like, you know, where that was new. I bought Nintendo games that were either used, were budget games that they've been out. But I remember buying that. That was we had Sonic. I bought Spider-Man, and my dad, like, he bought Fantasia. And it sucks because I was telling him to get Castle of Illusion. He goes, "Well, I like Fantasia better," because he's talking about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Castle of Illusion's a great game. Fantasia is a horrible game. But like, you know, so we got stuck with a horrible game because parents don't know shit about video games at that time. But my number 5, Dune, Battle of Arrakis. It's sometimes called Dune 2. It's I guess one of the first real time strategy games, and it's another licensed product. I'm a big fan of the Dune series, especially the first 6 books. I like the David Lynch movie a little bit, and there's a the mini series is awesome, but the game, it's the ancestor of the original Warcraft and Starcraft and Command and Conquer series, and it's just fun. And plus, there's a lot of shit that the Genesis does that game does on Genesis that the Genesis probably shouldn't have any kind of business doing, because it's a big fucking game. It's like 12 hours of gameplay for that kind of game, which is kind of moderate for a new game, but for a game from that era, that's pretty long.
They're getting ready to come out with a new Dune movie.
Yeah, it looks good too, except that's the guy who did the Blade Runner sequel, and his movies are always slow.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good. Prisoners is a great movie, and Sicario's a great movie, and the Blade Runner is a good movie. You know, it's slow, but yeah. But my number 5 is Doom Battle Arrakis.
They put this dog out of the room real fast. He's over here. First he's making noises. Now he's whining.
While he's doing that, I'm not saying it's a bad or terrible movie, but that David Lynch Dune movie, like, I got friends that absolutely adore it, and I just can't.
It's there's a off subject, but we tend to do this. There's a documentary called Jodorowsky's Dune. I'm probably saying his name wrong. Have you guys ever heard of this documentary?
Nope.
This crazy director, he did like El Topo and just bizarre movies, midnight movies in the 70s. And he wanted to make Dune. And there's a document that he had like Mobius and H.R. Geiger. He had all these great artists contribute to it. And he basically wanted to make like a 10-hour movie. Like, you know, but like he wanted to make basically almost like page for page the book. And it's a movie that was never made, but there's a documentary like where they did a lot of pre-production of it, and it's as fascinating as any adaptation of Dune that there is. So I like, you know, if we ever do a documentary, like, you know, cover a documentary on our show again, because we did that One Child Nation thing, like, you know, this, like, you know, that Jodorowsky's Dune should be like one we do. But anyway, Barry, you're number 5.
Mine kind of works out. The Derek had Altered Beast for his number 5, because the same guy that developed my number 5 was responsible for the creation of Altered Beast. My number 5 is Golden Axe. Of all the Sega beat 'em ups, Golden Axe is my favorite. I got into Sega because I had a buddy who had a Genesis and got me into almost every game on my list. I believe he had. And instead of, he had a Streets of Rage, but for some reason I always took the Golden Axe. And yeah, super fun. You know, you get the different options of the barbarian, the dwarf, and the Amazon. Just go around and kicking ass, and getting to ride that little fucking weird dragon thing, and I always just loved that game. I don't know if it was just I loved Conan growing up, so the barbarian, was just up my alley. But
I think there's a crossover between those two Altered Beast. That thing that you ride in Golden Axe, in like the second or third level, you fight a bad guy that does that same.
Holy crap! I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, when you have nothing to do but play video games and nothing else, and you have them to play video games, shit like that.
So D, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is one that I'm hoping's on your list. But I'm not sure because it's funny because three of the games on my list, like 2 of the games are ones that I played of my own volition, and because they're cool looking and popular, which is like Altered Beast is one of those. But 3 of the games on my list were other people like making me play them or showing them to me or whatever. So my number 4, which I'm hoping's on your list, is Comics Zone.
It's not on my list.
That's surprising.
It's the game is beautiful, but it is so damn hard.
Yeah.
But it is such a cool.
I just remember I remember you making me play it, and it was a pretty cool game, and it was pretty well done for like trying to make a comic booky and stuff.
Yeah. No, it's a great game, and you're fighting through the panels, and like you literally are climbing through the panels and dropping down, and but man, that game, without like cheats, I don't know how anybody gets past like the first couple levels. Like it's a super challenging game. Maybe Will's got some input on that, but I always thought it was really just too hard.
Nah, it's what I played that one because it was that's one of those whenever they have a Sega compilation, they always have that game on there.
Yeah.
And there's a couple games on there I don't understand like how they keep making the list. Like like there's a really horrible helicopter game. I think it's called Thunderblade.
Yeah.
Like and that's on every Sega compilation, and that game's unplayable.
I crash it within 10 seconds every time.
I mean, well, the thing is, and then like there's a dude that's a big. There's a web series. It's called Game Sack, and I asked I don't know if you all ever watched it or not. Like it almost seems like the guys on Game Sack could be like the alternate universes. You guys, like I think there's only one of them left now, but I was like, do you know why we can't have like Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic 3 on a compilation? Is there some kind of technical thing that I don't understand? Because I don't know much about the technical stuff about it. He goes, Sega doesn't want to pay licensing fees for the music. And I'm thinking like, so we get another fucking copy of Super Thunderblade. But like, but no Sonic 3, no games that people like.
That was a big problem with Nintendo's, what do they call it? Where you play the old games?
Robs?
Oh, they Virtual Shop.
Yeah, the Virtual Shop was some of these older games, which doesn't make any sense to me, but it's like some of these older games from like the original Nintendo, they're like, oh yeah, we can't get that because we can't get the license for the music that's in the game. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's a thing? Like, shouldn't the game just be a package that Konami, whoever it is, can be like, hey, here you go. Like, give us some money, you can have it.
Well, Earthbound's kind of that same vein where like Earthbound uses a lot of like riffs from like the Beatles. Like it just kind of snuck in there, and if you listen to it, you're like, oh shit, like that's infringement, that's infringement, that's infringement. And there was a long time where that wasn't a thing. I don't know what they did. They released it on the 3DS, and I don't know what they did for the music, but yeah, it's weird. It's weird to me. Like you think that the music could be done in house. And if not, like you think that like whatever contractor you paid for their services, you would also receive the rights. I don't know how it works.
Well, I mean, there was a Deadpool game on the PC that just like randomly got removed from the Steam store, and I think some people like couldn't play it anymore after they had bought it because it ran into some like licensing issues, and just crazy that I mean, it's crazy like say you make the Deadpool game. And you're like, yeah, we're only gonna get the license for like 4 years, instead of like the game itself being like a permanent license.
Yeah.
For it to exist, not to make more off of it, but just like it's weird. It's really fucking lame too, because we're the ones that lose out on it. But that's where emulation comes into play.
Thank God for MAME.
Yeah.
All right. Who's next on the board?
You
That
are
was-
Mr. Will, number 4.
Number 4. My number 4 is Rolling Thunder 2. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rolling Thunder. It's if we did a top 5 arcade games, it would be probably on a rotating marquee with the number 1 spot with Space Harrier. But Rolling Thunder 2, it's cool because it's the only other game from that era besides Metroid where you play as a female. And Leela is a badass in the game. Like they improved there's a Rolling Thunder, the original was a notorious quarter muncher. I mean, it was relentless, it was hard, it was fun. Rolling Thunder 2 is a little bit easier, but like it's longer and like it's a little bit more forgiving than the first Rolling Thunder, but it's a great game. And I remember that was one of those games I bought. It was the first used game I ever bought from like a video store because I guess after a while they quit renting the games, they sold them to get rid of them. And I was so happy when I got that one because I played the shit out of it, and it's a great game. It still holds up to this day.
Yeah, I think I put some hours into one of the Rolling Thunders. I think it was on one of the compilations, and because I never played it before that, I never really heard of it before a compilation play. Yeah, I know they're loved.
They're just fun. I mean, like they're games that, I mean, it sucks because like the only really good port of the first one, the only good version of the first one is the arcade, and that game, it doesn't have as many ports as like Paperboy or something like that, or Pac-Man, but all the ports they changed it, and every one of them took away something and made it worse. But like but neither here nor there. But Rolling Thunder is my number 4.
What's funny is I have a fond memory of the Rolling Thunder arcade game where for some reason, like my brother would often get in these baseball because he always played baseball growing up, and so our family would go to these like different things around the U.S. and I have to go with them. But they always did this baseball tournament in Gatlinburg, and we always stayed at this awesome hotel that had this like this huge pool that had like a big rock slide and crap. But in the but then in like they also had like a arcade area with some arcade machines, and they had that Rolling Thunder arcade, and that's the only place I ever played it. And since we went back there like 3 or 4 times in my lifetime, I got to go and play it, and always loved going there to play that Rolling Thunder game, even though it was hard as fuck. I mean, just eat quarters like most arcade games, but it was really cool and fun.
I guess my number 4. I think we already brought it up at one point in time. It's Toe Jam and Earl. Toe Jam and Earl is just like so much fun. I loved it when it came out, but I never get to play it I didn't play it very often because I never had it. I never owned it. I think we talked about this before, but on the 16-bit era, I had like I had both systems and a total of like 3 games because we always rent. And so Toe Jam and Earl was one that we rented a lot, or I borrowed from my buddy. But it's a roguelike. It randomizes the levels, randomizes item spawns. You do 1 player or 2 player. You can play as Earl or Toe Jam. I do the co-op thing. If you're on the screen at the same time, it's the same screen, but then as soon as you walk away far enough, it does a split screen. And easily some of the best music from that generation. Love it. It's funky. They're alien rappers who crash land on Earth, and I guess they crash landing causes their ship just to shatter. So you just play through levels trying to find the object of the game is just finding the ship parts.
I don't know if you remember, and it may have been you and Goldie. It was Goldie and somebody. But I remember when we lived with Goldie, he had fond memories of playing that with his younger brother that had passed away, and we got it on the Wii, the original Wii. We got it on there. What was it called again?
It's just Toe Jam and the virtual.
Yeah, virtual console.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember, we got that, and then I think it was Goldie and somebody, and maybe you and him played it 2-player. We were playing through it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That was like my first and only experience watching that game, but it seemed like a fun game.
it's like a fever dream. Like the things that are in that game are just bizarre. Like there's two aliens walking around,
Mhm.
and the Earthlings, um, like there's just things that chase you in the environment. So like there's like a cloud of bees. There's like um crazy a crazy woman with a camera that takes pictures of you. I think.
Don't
Cool
the
devil.
characters make all kinds of like weird shapes or
It's
like they
just
do weird things too?
and like they have like strange names for the character. I guess your level. So like you start off in the game and you're a wiener,
we're
like Toe Jam's a wiener.
we're back to Will's Wiener again.
Yeah. But it's such a strange game, but so much fun, and it just it's hard to describe to people. There's a sequel that I also love, but it completely just goes like side scroller, action platformer type of thing. It's fun. It's still got the comedy. And they recently did. There's the three that no one speaks of for the Xbox, the original Xbox, and then the remake just came out a couple years ago for I think most consoles and PC, I think, and it's an absolute blast. Like me and my buddy play it. My buddy Steve, we play it quite a bit online together. Um, Similar premise, just tightened up, and they added some more Earthlings that are insane, and music's great. But yeah, Toe Jam and Earl, my number 4. So D, I think you're on.
So number 3, and there's another one of the games that I didn't really, that. So this game, my biggest experience was I went on a work trip a handful of years ago with my boss and some coworkers, and you let me borrow your Raspberry Pi 3 with RetroPie or RetroArch or whatever on it, all the emulators. And my boss at the time was like, "Oh, it's like I wonder if this Genesis game is on there." So he went scrolling through and he found this game called Master of Monsters
Oh,
for the Genesis.
okay.
Which may be it's kind of an odd one, and y'all may not have ever seen or played it, but it's kind of like an RPG, and some of it's played on like an overworld hex map and stuff, and you kind of move around and control territory and stuff, and it was just a really cool looking and seemed very advanced game for that era of consoles.
And I,
So,
What's it called again?
Master of Monsters.
I've not heard of that one.
And so my boss and this girl that went with us on the work trip sit there and played it for like 2 or 3 hours in the hotel room. Like one night, because we're doing crap for work during the day, and it was a really cool looking game. Like I said, seemed very advanced and a lot going on for that era.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, and it's just strictly like almost a board game, a digital board game. But I just saw a dragon fight a unicorn.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's going on. Yeah, it's definitely hex based, and yeah, I thought you were going to say a different game altogether, but I think I've scrolled past this thinking it was almost like a Rampage clone.
Yeah. Fucking Rampage.
You like Rampage?
Yeah, but it never ends. Like I don't think you can like win. I think you just play forever. So I'm pretty sure I queued it up on emulation and played it for like hours, and it's like, okay, this isn't ever gonna fucking end. I can't win.
Well, it was me, Ken, and Fingers. Ken actually got the 3-player adapter for the original PlayStation,
Nice.
and we played that fucking thing for 6 hours. We got to level 160 something. Like it was the Rampage World Tour edition.
Yeah.
And that was fun because they're both having women trouble at the time, and they're both depressed. And I remember I bought the game, and then Ken bought the 3-player thing at the same, because it was one of those times back when you could buy shit in the middle of the night at Walmart like that.
Yeah.
And it was back before I started working third shift, and I remember I cured their depression by playing Rampage with them.
Did they go out of their way to like grab the lady that's in the bathtub to eat her?
Everybody did.
But like at that time, they're like, "That's mine. Go eat that bitch."
But we had so much fun with that because like the World Tour one, you don't get you start off with 3 different ones. Like it's not George, Lizzie, and it's not the Godzilla and the King Kong ones. You get like a crab and a rhino. but it was fun. Anyway,
I don't know. Me and D played that before. That sounds like an N6. I think it's an N64 game too, right?
Probably.
yes, yeah. They
I have rented it. It sounds familiar.
I mean, it's funny as shit. I mean, but like it's one of those fucking Midway games that, and Midway is notorious for they're great arcade games, but like Smash TV had a problem like where like they actually like they made a game so hard that they didn't even make an ending for it, and then like people they didn't expect people to play it that long, and like and that so they actually had to like I think put an ending in the game afterwards because people were complaining because they thought they were ripped off. But that's not our story. We'll have to do a top 5 arcade game thing here. So where are we at now? Is it me now?
Yeah.
My number 3 is Shinobi 3. I love the Shinobi games. And I just now put this together. Like Shinobi, the very first Shinobi arcade game, plays a lot like Rolling Thunder, and there might be some polite thievery between the two products, but Shinobi 3, there's four Shinobi games, and there was three that were on Genesis at that time, and Shinobi 3 is the best of them because there's all kinds of dashing and there's not you actually have a life bar. I mean, the ending's hard. The last boss is unforgiving, and like I've only beat the game twice, and it was such an accomplishment. I probably would suck at it now, but like it 14-year-old me that was playing it, it was the greatest thing on the planet. I don't know how a 40-year-old me would like it as much.
I remember wanting to play Shinobi so bad. I thought like, cool, ninja, like that's badass. But I never got into them. And then now in my older days, like I don't know where to start on that series. Like they're all named so odd. I don't know which one's like the first one. Or I'm looking at a list that says Shinobi, Shadow Dancer, Revenge of Shinobi, Shadow Dancer, The Secret of Shinobi, The Cyber Shinobi, and then like there's like 8 of them, and then there's like Shinobi 3, Revenge of the Ninja Master. And I'm like, what the hell's going on with this series?
Well, there's
cool.
There's 2 of them that came out at the same time. Like I think Revenge of the Shinobi and Shadow Dancer came out like almost like within weeks of each other, and also that's another fucked up thing about it. It's almost like Assassin's Creed quit numbering like their games, and and you don't know what if you wanted to play them in order, you really couldn't unless you had to you basically had to do a course of study to figure out the order of those games, much like Shinobi like back then.
So your number 3 was Shinobi 3 Return of the Ninja Master?
Yes.
Okay. Now I know. So now I can go back and play it.
Yeah, since you mentioned, I kind of wanted to have almost had Shinobi and Golden Axe games on my list because those are both just fun games, and Golden Axe, of course, is awesome to play with friends.
That sounds like somebody's trying to sneak in some honorable mentions.
What's funny about Sega and all these properties they have, so we talked about Toe Jam and Earl, which I don't know where if Toe Jam if that's I think it's just made and then it's on Sega, but you like Shinobi, Sonic, Altered Beast, all these Sega properties. I've been for years trying to buy Sega stock because it's not very expensive. But because it's international, I can never figure out how the hell to do it. Because I'm like, one of these days, someone's going to buy all these properties from Sega and make a fortune. Like if Microsoft bought these and made a badass, all these properties brought back with new games and there's so many cool characters in the Sega universe.
I mean, Golden Axe, your Streets of Rage, Sonic, the Sonic family,
yeah,
Altered Beast. Even though it's kind of a silly game. But a Space Harrier, of course, but anyway, I can't figure out how they fucked up. I think what hurt them was just history was they did that 32X bullshit, and then they did the Sega CD shit, and the world wasn't ready for a CD system at that point.
No,
I guess they needed to be the shock troopers to to get taken out in order for civilizations had to fall so others could live. And I think that's what happened.
Man, the Dreamcast
Like-
was such a great console.
The what now?
The Dreamcast.
I don't think I ever played it. I've played it. It was one of those game systems where I didn't like the controller.
It was a weird
And that-
controller.
Yeah, and that and the 64 are two. I couldn't get into them just because of how fucked up the controllers were.
Are we on my number 3?
Yes, sir.
So if it's not already on Will's list, because he'd already mentioned it, Spider-Man versus the Kingpin. I do love this game to death. The developer Technopop, they didn't really have any more notes on what they've done outside of this game and Zero Tolerance. I don't think I've ever played, but it's classic Spider-Man. You start off, you're swinging around, you're shooting webs, and then you actually take pictures to buy more web fluid. So you're constantly switching back between your camera and your web shooters, and you get a lot of points and money for like the bosses. But this game is insane for the fact that I've never seen this anywhere else. And I don't know if you remember this or not. The second level, if I remember correctly, is the sewer level, and there are rats as you're crawling through the sewer. That if they bite you, you will develop rabies and die.
What the
Like
fuck?
you don't just die then.
Yeah.
You may play like another world level, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you got rabies.
What
Sad
the
face.
hell?
Spider-Man
Sounds
dies.
so awful.
And the game just died. It's just game over. You're like, what? Like, how did I get rabies? For the longest time, I didn't know what I was doing as a kid.
There's nothing you can do about it. You can't like fix it.
You can kill the rats, but if they touch you, you get rabies.
Huh.
So
That's
weird.
terrible. That sounds like a terrible game.
Well, everything else
Well,
is great. And
the
everything
thing
else
is-
like it's beautiful. The animation is great.
The great might be a little bit stretching because I remember that game. It was the first game that ever I felt fucked by. Like they have check this out, Derek. They have like 3 or 4 difficulties,
Yeah.
and if you put it on easy, you get to like level 2, and then and then the Kingpin pops up and goes, "Yeah, next time why don't you try a little bit harder?" And they won't let you beat the game completely unless you put it on medium difficulty or and then
Oh yeah.
then there's one more difficulty, the nightmare difficulty. Now, when it's easy, you just fight it's cool because it's got the original Sinister Six as the bad guys.
Yeah.
Where it's got 5 of them. It's got Hobgoblin, Sandman, Dr. Octopus,
Lizard. I don't know if
the Lizard.
Vulture, Mysterio,
Yeah, he's in
Electro.
the Vulture's not in it. Hobgoblin. Wait, Reptile.
Lizard.
Anyway, it's not important.
Yeah. But it's this
Well,
great rogues gallery that Spider-Man has, and you're fighting them all. And
And then the thing is that Nightmare, how it works out, you fight Venom every level, and Venom's really annoying, and he just pops up and and he's the strongest enemy. He doesn't fit in, with the rest of those. That's the problem that they always have with the Venom character, in the comic books, is that they tried to put a '90s character with classical '60s characters, but that game, it was so frustrating when I was like, all right, I'm making some progress. Never mind. I can't go any further because I was on the easy difficulty.
Yeah. That's
Now,
like shitty when games do that.
well, I understand, maybe keeping, okay, well, you won't get the good ending, but I've never had a game just stop and basically go, hey, asshole.
yeah.
They should
Yeah.
always tell you when you select your difficulty level.
I had that same experience because for the longest, on medium, I never beat this game. I only beat it through save states because. So okay, Spider-Man level nostalgia. That's why it's on my list. But the rabies thing, the easy mode thing's a little is a pisser. The ending is one of those things where you have to go through all the bosses again, and that always pisses me off because I'm like, it was a challenge the first time, and now you're putting them all back to back to back. But Kingpin is one of the hardest bosses because all his collision box is only his head. So you have to be hitting his head only. And while you're doing that, Mary Jane is being lowered into a cauldron of like acid, fire. I don't know what it is, but if she hits that, game's over. Or no, I think you could still beat him, but she dies. But like you have to fight him, just hit his head, which is a task in itself, while keeping shooting web fluid at the chains to slow her down.
You're not really
Well,
selling this game that well.
It's a hard ass game, but I just love it.
Well,
It's hard to say.
Well, it's probably the Sega game I played the most. Like I think it's one of those things where I was determined to get my money out of it, and I remember I beat it a couple times, but like they do this really cool. Like you get one life in the game, and you have 24 hours to in the game clock to complete the game, and you get your life back a little bit at a time. But basically, like how you get your whole life back, Derek, you basically pause it. You have to exit the stage. And you go back to Peter Parker's apartment, and you basically just walk and pace, basically while your health is just going back up, which is nice and all. That gives you the opportunity to do it. But when you go back to the stage, you start over right. And there's certain parts of the game where they won't let you like once you get to that last level. And you have the boss rush, you can't leave it. Like you got one life and one health meter, and that's it. And you're fighting 6 or 7 bosses.
I don't know. Difficulty,
Yeah,
definitely can bring it down some points, but man, it's just a fun game.
well, as far as licensed game goes, it's a good one.
Yeah,
I mean it's hard, but it's not like the Batman games, Batman's got a gun. Everything in the Spider-Man game is somewhat authentic to the comic books.
yeah. Walking on walls. It's got different things. It looks like a love project though. Like walking on the walls, on the ceiling, just doing fun things that like you don't really see in Spider-Man games that often, of this era especially. So, D, are we on your number 2?
I guess so. Yeah. So my number 2, which is probably on other people's lists, and this is one of the only 2 games on this list that like I played on my own volition. Really, is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Just it's kind of like one of those games like I don't know if I even really need to explain. It's just a solid staple of the Sega Genesis era, and it was one of the games that like I would get when we would rent the console or whatnot, and I don't know. It's my number 2.
That's as far as platformers go, it's probably the top 5 like action platformers that have ever been made.
Yeah,
because I mean the very first Sonic's a good game, but like the second game they introduced Tails.
Yep.
And the spin dash, and that spin dash thing it's almost like it's as a radical change to a video game from the first game to the sequel as the ability to link combos in the Tony Hawk games. But yeah, the we played that because we had 4 games at one point. I think the Sonic and Sonic 2 was the 4th game that we had after the other 3. We had Sonic, Spider-Man, Fantasia, and then Sonic 2. So we spent a lot of time with that one. The bonus levels are great in it. It's just a fun game. It's fun playing.
Is bonus the half pipe in this and 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some great bonus stages.
you can play as Tails in it, right? And
Yeah.
that's one thing I thought was cool is you had a character that to some extent could fly, but it still worked with the stages and everything.
Yeah. Well, it's again, it's a brilliantly designed game. But the Sonic games at that point, like the 4 that were on the Genesis, the 4 main ones that are on the Genesis are all masterpieces. But that being said, my number 2 is Strider.
That's funny. I was gonna ask, but I decided to wait. I was like, I wonder if you guys played Strider because I love it on the NES. But go ahead.
Well, the thing is that NES game is it's a different game.
Yeah.
It's almost like a ancestor to the Metroidvania games. Because I mean you got like Rygar, Castlevania 2, Goonies 2 for that matter. Like they almost kind of had it, but they didn't quite have it. And like the Strider that's on the Genesis it's not as good as the arcade version, but it's as good as an arcade version can be on a console.
Yeah.
Like we talked about Altered Beast earlier, and even Golden Axe. The arcade versions of those games are great, and the ports are pretty good. But I don't know. They didn't keep the arcade difficulty of those games when they ported them.
Yeah.
Strider, like like the arcade game and the Genesis version, the difficulty is not that. I mean, it's not that difficult, but it requires some kind of skill. You just can't button mash your way through it.
Yeah.
And the physics in the game is really cool, and it's a near perfect. The only complaint about the game is that you can beat it in 25 minutes. I mean, it's a quick in and out, like once you know like what you're doing. But it's as far as Genesis games go. I mean, it's legitimately my number 2 of all time.
Yeah, so I think the one on the NES is like a handful of hours at least. It's a pretty long one.
Well, yeah, but like that because like there's a bunch of games from that era, like Rygar, the Strider that's on the NES, Goonies 2, Castlevania 2, and Blaster Master. They almost had that Super Metroid Symphony of the Night, the Metroidvania pattern, but they just, I mean, you kind of need be able to save games or have save states where a place where you can like stop and like go eat so you don't dehydrate and pass out from going epileptic shock because you haven't eaten in 24 hours.
Yeah, when I was searching for Genesis games stuff for this list, like I saw a bunch I need to play. It's like, oh man, they had a different Strider, so I definitely need to try that out someday.
Oh yeah, it's well worth your time.
I don't think I've ever played any Strider.
They're good.
All right, well, that's the show. Next show is just going to be me and Will.
I have
Barry had to retire for unforeseen circumstances.
Well, there's 4 different incarnations of the game. There's the arcade version, the NES version, the Genesis version, which is just a port of the arcade, and some dude did a remake of it that's on the virtual stores for the place. I don't know if it's on the Xbox store or not, but it's on the PlayStation store, and it's fantastic. It's based on a comic book, but I've never been able to like find it.
Huh.
But
I wonder if that's the one that I played on the PC that I mentioned on some of our last shows. I played through it and it was pretty good, but it's very repetitive and lots and lots of backtracking.
Well, yeah, I think that because the one. If it's the same one I'm talking about, it was made to be the Metroidvania, where you have to, you can't make a jump and you have to come back once you got the skill to jump higher or climb shit. Yeah,
or some shit. Yeah,
yeah. Barry, what is your number 2?
I'll check it out. So I went a different direction with from you guys. So I love me just some Sonic 1. I don't know what it is. It was one of those games I had versus having to rent it, and I don't know. Sonic 1.
Yeah.
I feel like the levels.
Talking to my cat and I unmuted myself.
What?
Talking to my cat and I actually unmuted myself instead of muted myself.
Oh, but I mean, so as mentioned, I had a friend that had Genesis, and I had a birthday where I had been saving up money, and there's a final touches was the birthday money. And I remember going to Hills and getting the pack-in Sonic Genesis, and around my birthday it's middle of August, end of August, so it's always like first day of school is around my birthday, and I remember going day 1 to school, and because of allergies, I'd always like come home sick because the school sat there all summer like dusty. I don't know, but I'd go to school, and every other year it seemed like I'd get sick and come home. So I had bought my Genesis. Went to school for one day and then was like sick the rest of the week and got to play Sonic like for the rest of the week. And it was pretty damn sweet. But But yeah, I don't know the music of Sonic 1, the levels of Sonic 1. I don't know. I did love some Sonic 2, but I don't know. It's hard for me to beat Sonic 1.
It's one of the games I've beaten this year on the exercise bike.
Nice.
The bonus levels on that one are fun, but pretty damn challenging. Like I was doing it through save states, just trying to get all the emeralds, and it always will turn a certain way, or you'll hit the wrong button, and it'll like start spinning the other way, and it'll drop you on an exit, and you're just like, son of a bitch.
Well,
To go back and reload, and
also like one of the bad things is about that, because I remember because that was a game we played a lot because we have a whole lot of them, and like we were so excited when we finally got that 6th Chaos Emerald, but then like when we didn't get anything for it, except like you got to see like a couple more seconds of the ending. And like but in Sonic 2 they actually you got rewarded for getting all the Chaos Emeralds. But yeah, so that's there's nothing wrong with that game. Like Sonic's again, it's a great franchise.
it's like the Mega Mans, the first couple Mega Mans. Like everybody's different opinion on those. There's no clear cut one.
Well, I think so because like like the very first Mega Man is
Okay, yeah, I
th-
misspoke.
yeah, that's sadistically hard. You have to be just the craziest masochist to actually to enjoy that game. Because like like you get lulled in, like because the levels are shorter and some of the boss fights are easy, but that's another one of those games where you have the boss rush at the end, and you have to keep fighting the same fucking things over and over again. It's they perfected it with part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so now we're gonna read some fan submissions. I solicited
fan mail.
Oh, actually, I do have some fan mail from our buddy Brad. Let me pull it up.
Oh, nice.
It was in regards to the Russ Meyer discussion during our
Nice.
Valentine's Day thing.
The politician, the local politician.
Yeah.
Where's that? All right. You better tell Derek he better not ever goddamn blaspheme Russ Meyer's name ever again.
I just did it.
But yeah. All right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 6 submissions like today, and there's one I got from a couple months ago that I'm somewhat proud of. All right. Our buddy Ken.
Not Titty Kent, but Ken.
Yeah, Kent gave us said like he didn't play Sega, so he counted himself out when he could have just made up anything to be part of the show. But I admire his honor. But our buddy Ken, who's not Kent, his top 5. Number 5 was Rocket Knight Adventures. Number 4 was Castlevania Bloodlines. Number 3 was Sonic 2. Number 2 was Toe Jam and Earl, and number 1 was Streets of Rage. Our other buddy Goldie, he was the first one to actually submit the list. Number 5 was Columns. Number 4 was Toe Jam and Earl. Number 3 was the original Streets of Rage. Number 2 was Sonic 2. And number 1 was Comic Zone.
Oh.
Hell, I texted you earlier and saying if Mutant League Football is not on there, I don't know Goldie, because I played an emulation back in the day. That was the first thing he huddled to.
I'm surprised Toe Jam and Earl wasn't higher too, but
What I saw his list though, is it Toe Jam and Earl 2? It's Panic on Funkatron. I think that's what I saw. I could be wrong.
Oh yeah. I forgot to write that down.
Like the sequel, the side scroller, which it's a great game, but
Chris, I don't want to say his last name, but like you all know what I'm talking about. Like his he didn't have any order, so I just I went from top to bottom. Comic Zone, Castle of Illusion, Key Chameleon, Sonic and Knuckles, and Streets of Rage 2. So there's a little bit of overlap with Goldie's list. All right, my sister Mickey, she submitted the list. Number 5 was Mean Bean Machine, which I think is a Sonic game.
Yeah.
Sonic 2. Number 2 was Samurai Showdown, and number 1 was Mortal Kombat 2. My friend Eric, he submitted a list. He's the one that had that Super Scope 6 game on his Super Nintendo list. I don't know if y'all remember that or not.
Yeah.
But his number 5 was Golden Axe. Number 4 was Sonic 2. Number 3 was Earthworm Jim 2. Number 3 was Earthworm Jim 2. Number 2 was Earthworm Jim, and his number 1 was Toe Jam and Earl.
Love
And finally, our buddy Brad, number 5 was Earthworm Jim. Number 4 was Altered Beast. Number 3 was Toe Jam and Earl. Number 2 was Sonic 1. And number 1 was Streets of Rage. Now, the special guest is a dude that I'm a big fan of. His name is DJ Slopes. I don't know if you guys have watched his videos. He's got a YouTube show called Slopes Game Room. He does very interesting, he does complete history of games, and he should get money. The video game companies should pay him money because he does a great job promoting their products. But I got him shortly after we did the Super Nintendo episode. I talked to him for a little bit. Pleasant enough guy. And I asked him to submit a list. Number 5. Let's see. Number 5, I believe. This is the order he gave to. Number 5 was Gunstar Heroes. Number 4 was Fantastic Dizzy. Number 3 was Revenge of the Shinobi. Number 2 was Streets of Rage. And although I'm against honorable mentions, I'm gonna make an exception for this guy.
Oh, okay.
Just
friend gets honorable mention, D.
Wow. I see how it is. Yeah.
well, but the thing is, I pointed it out to him and he justified it and it made sense. He's got Sonic 3 and Knuckles as number 1, even though those are 2 separate games. But the argument could be made that they were designed to be one game.
Yeah,
but it was too big. So I broke my own rules, but you know what? Go fuck yourselves.
I see the pecking order here. Uh-huh.
Hey, look, I love DJ Slopes. He's our first ever international correspondent because I believe he's English. I could be wrong, but he's wonderful man. Watch his videos, subscribe to him, give money to him, and blow him if you get a chance to see him. Wonderful man.
Blow him. So what's funny is we haven't done the ones yet, but Gunstar Heroes is on a lot of lists for if you look at other people's lists, Gunstar Heroes is so high, and none of us have mentioned it yet. So I'm wondering if anyone has that as their number 1 because it is a fantastic game. I could definitely see it why it's on his list, but shocked that no one else really had it on theirs.
So I'm disappointed in the lists of all the people that Will mentioned. Might be disappointed, except for that last guy. I might be disappointed in your all's list too, because number 1, Gunstar Heroes.
There you go.
Which is a game that was forced upon me, I think, by you, Barry, when on the Nintendo thing that I forget the name of again, Virtual Console. Yeah. And probably my favorite type of game is co-op games. I love co-op games. I play with friends and stuff where we're all playing together for the same goal. We're not opposing each other and pissing each other off and stuff. And it's probably one of the best co-op games ever. Even though it's just a fairly simple side scroller, but the guns are so awesome and the combinations of the guns and stuff. And yeah, that's my number 1.
So
I was surprised I hadn't heard it in those other lists or from you all yet, unless it's your all's number 1s. But
so we talked about the collections that have come out over the last 10, 15 years, and Gunstar's always on them. Me and Steve have them on our Switch. We have no problems playing Toe Jam and Earl. We play some of the Virtual Console stuff on there because they've got the Switch Online. You can play NES games and SNES. The Genesis collection is broken. It's laggy as shit to play multiplayer on there. And me and him, every few months, we're like, hey, let's try Gunstar Heroes again.
See if they fix
every time without fail, it's just nah, it's fucking broken. For good.
Yeah.
And it's a Genesis game. You could send over that entire game in a packet, networking. And it's so small. How is this a problem to run online co-op?
Try with emulation.
Yeah, I know we need to try it on a PC or something. But yeah, that is a sweet ass game. It may have been Goldie that got you to play it because I never played it.
Yeah, maybe.
One of those collections.
It got introduced to me because Metal Slug was always one of those games in the arcade that I couldn't like I think it was 50 cents, and like they actually play like to have a whack at it, and my dad wasn't having that. My dad was he was a notorious cheapskate when it came to things, and and I remember wanting to play it, and then my buddy Pie, you all know him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot. Yeah, you all ran into him, but he was obsessed with Metal Slug, and then when I got the tricked out Xbox, I played Gunstar Heroes largely because of DJ Slopes talking about the game, and it was really fun. And he started playing it, and it was weird seeing a guy. He got hypnotized by the video game, and he got obsessed with it, and he was. It was hard to his concentration is something is amazing. But yeah, Ghost Star Heroes is a great game. Unfortunately, it's not my number one.
All right, well, that's a good show. Looks like I'm by myself for the next episode. Better kick Barry and Will off for various reasons.
Yeah, my number one is Flicky. No, I'm not gonna do Flicky.
Looking the Bane.
You got me for a second there.
Now, although Flicky he's a character that should get respect because he makes it was one of the first Sega games, for first Genesis games. He makes a cameo in the Sonic games, and there's a level that's in Gunstar Heroes where you're basically playing the first level of Flicky. But my number one is Earthworm Jim. I got it for Christmas when I was 15 or 16. I forget what year it came out. I think I was 15. When you put the game in, you see the Sega logo, and then you just see Jim flexing his muscles. He's doing all the Hulk Hogan poses, and and then when he's showing the guns, his pants fall down, and you see his underwear, and he covers up, and he screams, and you hear go ah, and there's nothing it's such a. It was so cool seeing that. I kept resetting the game before I even played it, just because it made me laugh.
I think I remember didn't he get some heat when it came out, Earthworm Jim, for being vulgar?
Yeah, but one of the cool things about it, I think that studio's name's Interplay that released it. They released Booger Man right after that, and Booger Man plays a lot like Earthworm Jim, but is Booger Man. He's flicking his nose, he's farting, and he's You collect milk and you belch, and that kind of took the heat away from Earthworm Jim. But Earthworm Jim's just it's fun as hell. The bonus levels in that game are they're the best bonus levels I've ever played in a video game. Where you're racing and you have to I can't really describe it, but perfect game. It was one of those games. I remember the first Game Pro I ever bought, hey, Earthworm Jim on the cover, and that was the only game that I ever saw at that point. They got 5 because they had a 5-point system in Game Pro, and it had 5s all across the board.
I remember it being a huge series when it came out. But I remember playing it a couple times. I remember renting it and liking it. It was just a matter of I don't know. I just never got into it as much as everybody else did. But
well, it's also there's a cartoon version of it. They made cartoons. Fox, I believe, made a series of it. Only lasted a season, but the guy who did Homer's voice, Dan Castaneda, is that his name?
I think so.
He did the voice of Jim, and it's got one of the best theme songs ever. It's worth watching just for the theme song. But that's a game. That's a feel good game for me. If I'm having if things are going shitty for me, I'll probably play it this week because I've got the shit kicked out of me for the month of February. I'll probably play Earthworm Jim to cheer myself up. Barry, what is your number one, sir?
I'm watching it here, so I'm gonna have to play it again because I think I always got it confused with I think I always tied this to Vector Man for some reason. I don't know why. It's a side-scrolling shooter, but yeah, I need to play this. I'm watching, I guess, one of the boss fights, and it looks fun.
Yeah.
My list went left field on this one. It's one of the few games that I had, and I don't know if that's the reason or if it's just a fun game that Mario Lemieux hockey.
Well,
The Pittsburgh Penguin legend. They had a hockey game. They put his name on it. It wasn't like a licensed game. Didn't have like the teams, the players. It just had like generic teams. But it was just like fucking great ice hockey. I don't know why I got it. I have no idea why I have that game. Because I don't think I was into hockey per se at that time, and didn't know Mario Lemieux. But I got it. It came with like a puck. I don't know what type of box it came in. It came with like a hockey puck. And like so you put it in, you play it. It's just great hockey. And then there's like the fight scenes. If you've never played it, do you know what I'm talking about?
maybe I don't know.
The fight scenes are like the clowns, like that are like in the punching clowns that like
Yeah.
they're like.
Like bobbing
And
and stuff.
It's so fucking funny. It's so good. I just played the shit out of it. It was Sonic 1 and this game. And just happened to be these are my 1 and 2s because I put so many hours into them. But
I mean, I've never intentionally watched. I don't think I've ever even watched a hockey game in its entirety, other than like when we go to like some of the local games.
yeah.
But the hockey games are usually a lot of fun. Like NHL hits is all we've had a blast playing NHL hits and shit.
Yeah. But yeah, this was Will, did you ever play this game?
I never played Mario Lemieux hockey.
Did we lose Will?
Time anybody
Got that robot wheel.
Yeah, it will. Well, if he pops back up, anyway, yeah, most people played like the NHL series, like the EA games, and I mean everybody loves those. But yeah,
What was the one that was on Ball Rats?
That was an NHL game, but it was on. I think he's playing the Sega CD or the Sega Saturn.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's more of like a 3D.
All right, am I back?
You're
There
back.
it is.
Now, somebody gave me NHL 94 because they got the NHL 95. So it was the first time anybody ever gave me a game. I thought it was one of those things where I was appreciative, but I didn't know anything about hockey. All I know who Wayne Gretzky was, and I heard of Mario Lemieux, and I heard of Claude Lemieux, and it's weird that looking back that because I was trying to figure out where I knew Claude Lemieux from, and he was a guy who always he was a dirty player that he was always getting in trouble. He was talking shit, and so those are my kind of the people I gravitate to, like the Bill Lambiers, the Chael Sonnens, and Claude Lemieux did that too.
They take their skate off and try to stab people with it. Those kind of guys.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I knew nothing about hockey. I don't know where it came from. I remember buying some hockey cards at like a flea market or something one time, and but never played like Blades of Steel. Didn't play like Nintendo Ice Hockey. Where I got this game, I don't know. I don't know if my parents was like, he'll like that, or if someone just gave it. I don't know. Don't know how I got it.
Your parents were like, "Oh, it's a Mario game. He likes Mario games."
Mario Genesis? Yes, please.
That was funny. You just brought that up. You just opened a floodgate of memories on Sports Center on the radio. Well, ESPN radio rather. Whenever Mario Lemieux retired, but he became like a general manager of a hockey team, and occasionally he would reactivate himself as a player, which would always just amuse the hell out of me. It's like, all right, well, I can't find anybody better, so I'll just I'll play it, do it myself. And whenever they would talk about his highlights, they play the Mario, the first from the first Mario Bros. First level.
Nice.
Oh, and they remember them calling him Super Mario too. Like it was as part of his name. But I mean, yeah, great hockey player. But
I imagine like your dad, because this is probably before he was selling PlayStation 1s out of the trunk. I imagine you probably met some guy like in an alley, and he's all like, "Hey, you got that new Mario game?" It's like, "Yeah, I got that new Mario game." So your dad paid like a pretty penny for the new Mario game, and then got home and it's Mario Lemieux, and luckily it worked out.
I had that hockey puck for a long while. It was just a standard black puck with a little sticker on it, the logo.
Where is it?
I think it may be boxed up actually.
Probably worth some money now.
Maybe get the complete package that Mario Lemieux hockey, man.
Heck yeah.
But no, I don't know. Actually, I don't have the game anymore. I think Chad ended up getting all my games. I used to
That
traded
son of a
over.
bitch.
Yeah. But yeah, interesting list.
Oh, we should have. Let's do our recap.
Oh crap! Let me open my file back up here. Just-
Derek, you still got your shit?
Yeah.
Okay. Mary, did you find yours?
Yep.
To recap, go ahead, Derek.
Am I recapping like all 5?
Yes.
All right. Number 5, Altered Beast. Number 4, Comics Zone. Number 3, Master of Monsters. Number 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And number 1, which should have been on your all's list, but fuck you guys, Gunstar Heroes.
All right. Number 5 for me, Doom, Battle of Arrakis. Number 4 was Rolling Thunder 2. Number 3 was Shinobi 3. Number 2 was Strider. And number 1 was Earthworm Jim.
And for my list, Golden Axe 5, Toe Jam and Earl, the number 1, the original, I mean, at 4, Spider-Man versus the Kingpin at 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 at 2, and Mario Lemieux Hockey. You have to check out some video. The fight in itself is great, but
well, I remember trying to you could fight in the NHL '94, but it was kind of anticlimactic because the fighting in the very first ice hockey on the Nintendo is really fun, and Blades of Steel is fantastic. It's amazing to me that because Konami made Blades of Steel and they also made Double Dribble, how they can make a game so awesome in Blades of Steel, but so horrible in Double Dribble within the same calendar year is amazing. That I can't. I don't know. Can you get lucky and then was somebody just lucky and then they did something shitty? Where somebody just shitty and they struck gold once?
For me, in your argument there, Will, the early 80s on, baseball worked. Baseball was like the easiest, it seemed like. Pitcher pitches it, the bat, depending on the degree of the bat, would hit the ball and move it around. It seemed like baseball games always were they worked. Hockey was like the second best game. Because like 10-yard fight isn't it's not really fucking football. Well, it's kind of football, but it's like altered. Basketball kind of just didn't work. Like it was hard to do basketball for some reason. Like all the basketball games were weird. Like hoops, Jordan versus Bird.
Double Dribble, the greatest basketball game of all time.
I mean, Double Dribble isn't as bad if you compare what its contemporaries are.
Well, that's like saying, hey, you're a nicer person than Hitler. That's that's you be kind of vague there.
You're giving Konami shit for probably making one of the best basketball games of the time, even though that's hey, I made a gun that shoots, it shoots BBs and not like a high powered rifle. I can't do a high powered rifle right now. But
did you ever see the? I think it was on Family Guy where Peter and oh man, I'm forgetting the black
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland play Double Dribble, and Cleveland's like, all right, we'll play, but as long as you don't do there's some spot you go and always make a 3, and then Peter just keeps doing it over and over again.
Well, here's the thing: basketball didn't start midway. Figured out the formula. They figured it out. Arch rivals that you take out, you make the game because again nobody really wants realism in video games, and except there's a lot of people there's people like the Sims stuff but Midway was like, okay, we're gonna make a basketball game where you can beat the shit out of each other, and make impossible shots, and just have fun. And then, a couple years they perfected the formula with the NBA Jam series. And then, it took technology to get better before we got NBA Live and the 2K series and stuff like that. But
I don't think video now games were the pinnacle of all sports games. NFL Blitz, NHL, NBA Jam.
Hey, Derek, I don't know how you did it, but you somehow become out of focus.
It's weird.
I think you have a condition. It's kind of almost back. That's weird. Oh. No, to me, Tecmo basketball was like, this is what basketball should look like. That
you go.
played a lot better. This is as ridiculous. Some of the shots in this Family Guy clip. The corner 3 shot, it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, watch it with audio. It's pretty funny.
I think, well, if I'm not mistaken, I think that something happened with that where like some YouTube guy was showing that, and that's the video clip
Yeah.
that they did, and there's some kind of like intellectual property thing that happened between Family Guy and the guy playing Double Dribble and Konami.
No, what it was, so he uploaded a video of him playing Double Dribble and just playing Double Dribble, just a screen of the game. And then when Family Guy wanted to make the joke, they used his YouTube video without giving him, mention or anything. And I think the guy it didn't like cause a big ruckus, but it was kind of an issue because they're like, oh, use this guy's video without his permission or without acknowledging him or anything.
Yeah,
Just ironic.
Like, hey, you should get my permission to use my video of other stuff, of other people's work. I love that.
Yeah.
But well, guys, I'm getting some requests for some ice cream, like an ice cream run. So I think it's time to wrap up.
Yeah, I'll take some ice cream.
You get some ice cream? Well,
is that code for you having to poop?
No, it's I know it's like outside, but no, the family actually wants ice cream.
Wait, is that code for you going out on the back porch because it's cold out?
It is. Yeah. Ice cream.
Creaming. You need some creaming.
Yeah.
So did you and the wife do like I mentioned for Valentine's Day, where like she acted like she was a babysitter and you were like the babysitter, and you went on the back porch to do your the thing you do, and she came out and was like, "You naughty boy."
No, I'm sitting here going because Ari was like 5 feet away from. On that note,
now she knows.
Now she knows. All right, William, give us our patented sign.
She's gonna be traumatized by the back porch now.
Yeah. She's gonna go out the front door. All right,
yeah.
Sign us off so I can get this ice cream, man.
All right. Love you, Mom. Wear a mask. Don't be a cunt.
Peace out.
See ya. Where the fuck's my button? Oh, there's my button.